Man. 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 Man.
What's going on, everybody? Your boy Man Up here, coming at you with another video today. Trying to invite again my good friend here, Mr. Joey. We got something to talk about today. See if I can get this going properly. Give me a few seconds here. Wonder if everybody can hear me okay. Alrighty, here comes Mr. Joey here. In a few seconds, make sure I turn my ringer down.
Hey.
There go the man with the plan right there.
I don't know about the plan.
How you doing today? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Make sure you can hear me. Man, sorry about the delay there. I had to do an update on the system here, my equipment.
No problem.
Alrighty. Make sure I turn everything up, turn the volume up. Alrighty. So, how you feeling today, Mr. Kind Sir?
I'm here. I don't know why. I was feeling fine early this morning, then I got to dragging, and then I never take naps, but I dozed off in my recliner for like 20 minutes, and that threw my whole thing, like my whole brain off.
Oh.
And I woke up and I'm like, what happened?
Hey, I do that sometimes myself too, you know. Hey, but you gotta get your rest, man. You gotta get your rest.
Yeah.
Any way you can get it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. One day we're gonna have to get more people in here to join our discussions, man.
Yeah.
Whether it be a repeat one that we've done before or something new. We're gonna have to get some new people in here sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, make it like a three or four person conversation. So, Mr. Joey Gray here. So, you want to talk about most prestigious wrestling belts?
Well, just I think like when I hear people talk about like I guess the role of different championships has changed over the years, because I was saying to somebody recently about how before Roman Reigns ended up with both WWE championships, how whenever, the biggest problem I see with that is there's always going to be one. Whenever you have two supposed top champions in a company, there's always going to be one that's the real top, or the top guy or girl in the case of the women's division. There's always going to be one that appears at the top. And one thing that, before this all happened, but back in, the old days, and it was true in multiple wrestling companies, you had a clear so-called world champion or top champion, and then you had a secondary champion, sometimes more than one. In the case of where they had, like, WCW had a TV champion, WWE had a European champion, where it was kind of clear that one was more of a mid card, one was more of an upper mid card type deal. But sometimes when I talk to people or hear people talk about it on YouTube videos, it's like, because they see the status and what it seems that on WWE, for instance, what the Intercontinental and US titles kind of mean and appear as now, they kind of relate that to the past too. And I don't really think that's fair to do, because, the big difference when you look at Ricochet and his status as an Intercontinental champion versus a Mr. Perfect or Bret the Hitman Hart or even Razor Ramon, or, you go through the years of guys that held that title, it's a big, big difference in where they fit on the card and where they, and where they, their level of stardom.
I can agree with that. I've said that too before. The mid card titles used to be a stepping stone, to something great. Now the mid card is like, well, we're gonna put you to use. You know, I don't really have no plans for you right now. We're gonna put you to use. That's why I liked it when the Miz and Cody Rhodes were trying to bring prestige back to the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you know, the United States title was kind of like the secondary workhorse title. I know that's the Intercontinental title, but United States title was kind of like the secondary workhorse title in WCW and NWA and all of that. Now, I think after John Cena lost it, it started to go down. Now, I know a lot of people said John Cena made a mockery of the belt when he turned to a spinner. And that's up for debate. But I think with when he did that, it was part of his gimmick. Kind of like with Edge, you know, he rated on Superstar, so they created him a belt, you know, in Stone Cold with the Smoking Skull. That it depends on how you look at it. And I'm like I said before, I'm not here to tell nobody that their opinion is wrong. But I think the way it's being used these days is not as big as it once was. Now, I will say this here, because the times have changed, people are trying to change with the times, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I also look at it like this here, man. If you want to devalue the belts, I mean, that's on you and your company. But I don't think that just because Cena made it to a spinner or Stone Cold took the heavyweight title and made his own belt, the Smoking Skull, is a diminishing of the belt. That's just my personal opinion. But I could say how things are being used, and then, okay, let's just say the upper mid cards like the United States and the Intercontinental, those were always meant to be something, a step to something great. Now it doesn't seem that way anymore.
Well,
I'll put it like that.
I gotta give you a counterpoint on that. I think more so the United States title. Now here's how I see it. I would say the WWF never really did a good. Now speaking of the WWF in the '80s, I would say I would argue that the NWA and WCW did a better job of establishing the U.S. heavyweight title as, hey, this guy is always a challenger for the world title. This is always like the number one contender to the world title. That belt always carried that weight with it. I don't think the WWF ever really pushed the Intercontinental belt back then like that. I think the first image of that becoming a thing was when the Ultimate Warrior had it. And he carried the belt all the way into WrestleMania and won the WWF Championship.
Okay.
You can't tell me that they were using the honky tonk man, using the Intercontinental belt to give him a stepping stone to the WWF title. I don't think they ever intended him or Tito Santana or a lot of these guys that held the IC belt back a long time ago to do that. And they never really, it kind of was like its own thing, like it was just its own title, and it meant what it did. And a lot of guys had it. I mean, Macho Man got it over as an Intercontinental champion, and it propelled him to being a main eventer. But they certainly didn't seem to use that title like that for everybody. Like it was they used it with some people. It helped Bret Hart a lot, but it was, when you look at like Kurt Hennig holding it, Kurt Hennig was in a different place in his career. He had already been on top where else he had been in professional wrestling. So he was already a made star coming into the WWF and was well known. And, he went straight into the main event with Hulk Hogan straight out the gate in the WWF. And then once that blew off, then he won the Intercontinental belt. So it's kind of like, I never understood it was hard to understand kind of like what they were doing with it back then. I never understood what happened like that. Then later on, they did seem to use it more with The Rock and Stone Cold as something to get them ready for the WWE Championship. But my argument too is, before these titles were unified and you had the WWE title on Raw, SmackDown was clearly pulling the bigger ratings than Raw was at this point, with Roman on top. The ratings were much higher, considerably higher on SmackDown than they were on Raw. And Roman was clearly the top guy in the company. So whenever to me, then the WWE Championship was just basically the Intercontinental Belt. Like, it's just like, it's basically that. Like you got one clear top guy in the company, and then everybody else is just kind of like, not that. And it became clear too, because didn't they do the champion versus champion match with Drew and Roman beat him? And it's kind of like, well, if it wasn't clear before, it's clear now who's number one and number two. You know, like, sometimes I don't understand, like, why they don't keep it separate more and not go there and make it, you know, they don't seem, even with two brands, they don't seem to be able to focus on two guys.
I can agree with that because I said the same thing, because I look at it like this. If you're going to have your brand split and like I said before, the networks want their own champion, you're going to have to keep it that way. Now, like I said, I know right now they're doing something, what I don't know exactly, but, you know, I do look at it like, okay, I know you created the Universal Championship for SmackDown. And Roman Reigns, I give him credit, he has brought prestige to that belt a little bit, you know, with his star power. Now, the WWE Championship on Raw, I thought, well, I kind of agree with you, it's kind of like a mid-card title. But I think they need to bring more prestige back to that, because the WWE Championship is what, well, it was at one point the number one thing in wrestling at one point. So besides the big gold in WCW. But I look at it like this here. If you're going to have two titles, two championships, you should put as much focus on both of them as possible. You know, because I look at it like, the reason why there's been so many different variations of the WWE Championship is because Vince has focused on that so much. I mean, hey, you got one on right behind me, you got another one right here, right there. So you gotta understand that when it comes to the WWE World Championship, Vince did put a lot behind that. He made one guy the top star. Now with the brand split, you gotta focus now. You gotta put it even. You gotta make them both rise at the same time. Not here and here and here. No, you gotta make them both rise. And I don't think Vince is doing a good job of that, my personal opinion. And especially now that Roman has both of the belts, and even with the tag team, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good match between those two teams. Don't get me wrong, it was. I just hated how it ended up, how it played out in the end. But why would you put it to, I don't know, man. You know, I just look at it like, you do have to keep, but okay, let me switch gears a little bit. I think the Cruiserweight Championship was at one point a good title to have, because we talked about this before with the smaller wrestlers, like a Rey Mysterio, like a X-Pac, like, you know what I'm saying? Stuff. You know, people like that. And once you brought in that, I mean, I thought that might be cool for those to have. I know now they had that in, like, I think if I'm not mistaken, they had that in 205, if I'm not mistaken.
It's gone now. They got rid of it.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay. And that's the thing. Give your smaller talent something, because people do like the smaller guys as well too. You know what I'm saying? They give people that's not the big old giant muscle bound giants, you know, they give them something to work for. Kind of like in the NBA, you know, you had the big old tall dudes, then you got Spud Webs and Muggsy Bogues, you know what I'm saying? The little 5'5" short guys out there balling with those guys. You know, that brings hope, you know what I'm saying? That brings ambition to, you know what I'm saying, to back to the sport, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to reference the NBA to wrestling, don't get me wrong, but I'm just trying to make a point. But, you know, and I think also too, let's go with this here. I think the European title was also a good title at one point. I think Kurt Angle put that title on the map, in my personal opinion. When he was the Intercontinental and the European Championship at the same time, I think he brought some prestige to that title. You know, I do think that Vince do need to bring back a couple of championships. One being the big gold.
Wow.
I'm not a huge fan of that belt. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like it, because I do. But I do understand that the big gold was, I mean, one of the holy grails, if not the holy grail. You know what I'm saying? And when you now put that belt in back in your history archives,
I'm
come
still
on,
here.
man. Okay, good.
Well, as far as the big gold goes, I don't think Vince ever wanted it, and I don't think, first off, because I will say this, and I respect Vince for this. Vince has never, if you notice, Vince has never promoted a world heavyweight championship. He's never wanted to call his title a world heavyweight title. He's never wanted to do, he does not like that. And there's a reason for that, because he never wanted to, like, I mean, if you go back to Vince Sr. and you go back to the WWF splitting from the NWA and all that stuff like that, he has always been about kind of branding his own title with respect to, you know, the linear, like, old school world heavyweight titles and stuff like that. I don't think the big gold is ever coming back. And I don't think that Vince ever wants to refer to the WWE championship or any version of it as a world championship, as a world heavyweight championship. I don't think he likes that terminology. I don't think he likes throwing that back. And I mean, if you look at it, and I mentioned this to you in Messenger, the only title he kept going from WCW is the U.S. title. Even when he brought back the big gold, WWE made a clear point to say this is not going to connect with the WCW title. This is not going to connect with the NWA title. This is the WWE World Championship belt or whatever. This is a separate lineage and everything like that. He didn't want it to connect at all to that. But I don't think he ever wanted that the big gold on there. I don't think he ever wanted anything to do with that kind of part of the professional wrestling business. I think that's why I think it's all just a like Disney-ish almost marketing thing with the big belts with the big WWEs on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think WWE or Vince McMahon or anything care about, like, the traditions or anything of those, you know, like, things like that. I think it's all about branding. And like I was saying to you, it's, you know, WWE is very different than professional wrestling. It's very much based around everything they're marketing. They determine champions based off of merchandise. At least Universal and WWE champions, they care more about merchandise than they do just about anything when it comes to those guys. They want to, and right now Roman Reigns is selling an incredible amount of merchandise. That's part of the reason he's doing it. They care more about the branding and merchandise of everything than they do of strictly, like, who's getting the best reactions or anything like that, which is the reason John Cena stayed champion, despite the fact that he was getting, like, mixed reactions in the crowd and people were booing him and they were like, oh, they're tired of John Cena. But they never backed down with John Cena. They you know, they stayed with him till the day he decided he didn't want to be a full-time member of the roster anymore and started, you know, leaving to do movies. And then at that point I think they realized, well, you know, we gotta go with somebody else. But, you know, long term, they care more about that sort of thing and about you know, pleasing their TV sponsors. And that's, you know, it's like I said, what it is at the live events. Even I mean, you've been to WWE live events. They're all about what happened on Raw, what happened on SmackDown, like tying together those storylines at the live events too. And, you know, it's especially in the marquee matches. Sometimes at the live events, you have guys and women that haven't even been on TV in 6 months, and you're like, I didn't even know they were still there. like when I worked those live events in I think it was 2015. They had Adam Rose on there, and he wasn't even doing the gimmick with the rosebuds anymore. He looked completely different, and, you know, had like a haircut and stuff. And I was like, wait, he works for the WWE still? Like, I didn't even know these guys were still there. They pull them off of TV, but they're still, like, booked on live events and stuff. So I don't think that the big gold is ever coming back. And I'm honestly going to say this. I'm really shocked that he even I don't think he's bringing back any belts. I think, if anything, I'm really shocked that there's still an Intercontinental and U.S. title to begin with.
I don't think he's going to get rid of those because you got to have a mid-card.
He doesn't use them, though. they're not promoted, they're not on TV every week, and they're not on pay-per-views.
I gotta agree with that. I do. But
What's the point of having them?
I just don't think so, because he has to keep those for a number of reasons, and I think the main reason is because he knows that those belts are like the Intercontinental title, that has been dubbed the name the workhorse title, and you have to, it's in your best interest. I put it like that, to keep that belt going. Now, another thing I want to talk about with the prestige of the belts is the designs of these belts lately. Now, I don't. It might be just me, but I'm thinking that I don't know if it's WWE themselves or if it's someone else or just Vince. I don't know. But I hate how these titles are all look alike, just a different color, but they all the same. Come with, back in the day, you had belts that you knew the identity of them.
Yeah.
They had their own, Now, if I bought the WWE World Championship, all I gotta do is go get a blue strap, put it on, and you'll think it's a Universal Championship.
Yep.
To me, that lost a lot of prestige. And now the Women's Championship, you had that old school one back in the early 2000s and 90s, the one Trish Stratus used to hold and Lita. Now you got the SmackDown and the Raw, they look like just one red and one blue.
Yep.
Doesn't make any sense to me. To me, that's also making it lose its prestige on it, because every title had their own identity. Even back in the day when they had the brand split at first, when you had the big gold on SmackDown and the WWE Championship on Raw, you had two different looking belts.
Yeah.
You automatically knew, what was what. Now, like I said, I can get the Universal Championship, get a black strap. You think it's the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yep.
There's no identity to it. I'm
Nope.
starting to think that's probably what Vince is going back to, because I'm pretty sure it has gotten back to him to do something like that. That's probably why he's unifying, and then here comes the new belts and all that stuff. Because, like I said, even with the tag team championship, they looked at completely different back in the day. You know what I'm saying? When they had back in like 2010, maybe, or whatever it was, 5, whatever, when they did the brand split at first. So maybe that's what they're doing. To me, when your titles are different, okay, like when this belt right here first came out, when this spinner first came out, whether you like it or not, it was something completely different. Your eyes was on that belt. Now, like I said, it doesn't matter if you like the belt or not. That's not where I'm going with it, because of the difference of it. It replaces the Undisputed Championship. And when this came out with all the bling, I get it. It was during that certain time frame. You know what I'm saying? Well, that was a big thing and all that stuff. That to me was the turning point of the WWE. Like, they using their creativity with stuff like this. And now it's like I don't know if they're getting lazy or not. And Jerry say, yeah, the titles was better way back then. Yeah, they was. Now I don't know. It's like you're getting lazy, and that's not a good thing.
No, the big difference is you look at back when the classic IC, the classic WWE, the classic Winged Eagle, the WWE had no hand in designing those belts. That's the big difference. Reggie Parks designed those belts and came out and then submitted, the art and everything to the WWF, and they just said, sure, that looks good. And that's why, like, in the 1980s, especially for WWE, they went through a ton of different belts. Like, especially the WWE title was just so many different belts. They had the nickel plated ones. They had like 4 different versions of those. They had many different variations of the Winged Eagle, many different, that ugly big green belt. I'm sorry. like
I hate that belt too.
God knows.
But at least it was different. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of mirrored the old school New Japan belt a little bit with the names on the side plates. but
Yeah.
it was different. You knew the difference. Is what I'm trying to say.
The yeah, but the like, and then so my thing is, I think now it's not, they don't care who makes the belt, because honestly, since they've come out with the network logo big belts, I mean, the original ones were made by Orange County Choppers. Like, does that even make sense? That's not even a belt maker. Like, they're
Nope.
just fabricating metal in there and stuff like that. And I think they were made out of aluminum. And I think since then they may be getting them from Wildcat Belts, which is where they get most of their belts now. But the thing is, like, they don't want the belt maker to have any input on what the belt should look like now. Now it's all coming down from somebody with a freaking master's degree in graphic design, thinking, how can we make this look good for like sponsors and for TV. And I think instead of a belt where you had to, like, zoom in and look at it to see the details on it, they don't want that. They want something that you can see from the cheap seats up in the stands, like, and that's where, like, oh, basically the current WWE Championship and Universal Championship is just a big WWE logo. That's it. Like, there's nothing really special about it other than that. That's all it is. And you can see it from way out, from wherever on TV. You can see it from way out. You understand that is a WWE belt from the beginning. And just like, to me, that with even with the newer versions of the Intercontinental belt, it's just kind of like, what is this? They took away, even if you're not a huge fan of the classic IC, they came out with this thing and it just looks like the most generic looking belt. Like, there's no color to it. There's no detail. It's just like, wow, some graphic designer just peed this out on some paper. And that's what they came out with. And I'm surprised that thing's still around. I think they did a little bit better job with the U.S. title than with that. But even that, to me, going from what they had to that, where at least the U.S. title had details and more words on it and stuff like that, and it had, a lot of paint on it and stuff like that. Now it kind of comes to this thing, and this thing is just kind of a big, thick-plated thing with a bird on it. And I'm just kind of like, I just kind of looking at it like, okay, what is this? Like, it's just missing it. It doesn't even look, when you see it, and like I said, now, like, for instance, what they're doing with, like, Austin Theory, putting that title on him, I think they expect the belt to get the guy over. Like this guy's here. They feel like he's got a good look because he kind of reminds you of John Cena a little bit, the way he looks. He's got a good body and everything, and they're trying their hardest to get this guy over, and it just, for whatever reason, hasn't happened to the level they want it to. I mean, they want him to blow up. They want him to be, that in a year from now, they want him to be the top guy on the show. You could tell that they have plans for him. They want him to be the thing. And I think that's what they do sometimes. I think they put the belt on the guy thinking, well, if we make him the U.S. champion, then people will care. And they don't, because nobody cares about the titles. So,
Well, I will give them credit for this. The U.S. title does look pretty decent in my opinion. But that current Intercontinental title, I think it came out in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, that looked like a piece of crap, if you ask me. I saw that, I was like, that is ugly. What the hell? I mean, I know every company has their ugly belts, and I get it. But really? I agree with you.
yeah.
No, nothing to it. No, nothing that makes it pop. Like I said,
Yeah.
at least the current WWE Championship, at least the strap made it pop with the blue and the black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But nothing pops with that belt. The current, the 2020, I think it came out 2020, the United States title. At least that kind of does pop with the 3D letters and stuff like that. I mean, it has something. Whether
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, that's a different discussion. But it has something to it. But I also think that, another belt I think they need to bring back is that European title. Because I think that would probably be good for wrestlers like Gunther or, people from overseas. You know what I'm saying? I want to say Drew McIntyre, but not really.
Yeah.
Because Drew is a main eventer, and I know Gunther is getting his start. So stuff like that, if that makes sense. Like William Regal had it, and he brought prestige to it. If it makes sense how I'm putting that. But I also think, with that particular belt, that needed a more of a pop to it because it kind of was like a excuse me, not blue, I'm sorry, like a gold plate with just a bunch of country flags on it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But I think that belt needs to come back, in a better way. Another one that I think is pretty decent was the light heavyweight championship. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, but the problem, I mean, the WWE has never done a good job at promoting those titles. Like, especially we're talking light heavyweight, cruiserweight. They have never done a good job. They never cared. I mean, I've just watched an interview on Rene Dupree's channel with Paul London, if you remember him, and he was
Yeah.
cruiserweight champion, and he was back in that whole thing. And when he had it, his whole thing was just like he thought, or at least they had people that were not Vince McMahon that were telling him the plans for the cruiserweight title, and he realized they were just making it up because he knew Vince McMahon did not care, and that was clear when they, I think the last champion was Hornswoggle before they brought back the 205 live thing. But even then, like, it just kind of like, at first, it felt like they were trying to do something with it. They had it on Adrian Neville, and then it went to Enzo. And it's just like, that's kind of like my biggest thing is if you look back in the 90s, when WCW was like really killing it with the cruiserweight division, and they had Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko out there, Eddie Guerrero, Jericho, all these guys out there having these crazy good matches. WWF had the light heavyweight title, and it was people like Brian Christopher, Grandmaster Sexay, Scott, all these guys out there, and and they're smaller guys, but they don't work lucha. They don't work, they don't work that kind of style that you want to see with the smaller guys. They work WWE, like Brian Christopher. I spent a lot of time in locker rooms with that dude. He works a very boring kind of television style wrestling, and he was good at it. But the thing is, like, you can't compare the matches they were having with like the light heavyweight division to what they were doing on the other channel, and that's why people were watching WCW, because they had Juventud Guerrero and all these guys doing 450 splashes off the top rope. And then, the light heavyweight division in the WWF was kind of still like stuck back in the 80s where they thought like a top rope leg drop was a huge move. And it was like, not by this time, not when Rey Mysterio's doing, springboard off the rope and like flipping a guy over and stuff and pinning him. I mean, it's just no comparison. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but they have tried over and over to come out with a lighter weight division and go with it, but they just never put anything behind it. And I think it gets confusing now because all the wrestlers are smaller. So how are you going to have a cruiserweight champion be bigger than Finn Balor? And Finn Balor's like 165 pounds, soaking wet, and you got Seth Rollins, who's not 200 pounds. And you got, these guys are not big guys at all. And some of the higher up guys on the card, it's hard. You got AJ Styles, who's probably 190 pounds. You got, it's hard to differentiate who's competing where and why are these small guys competing for the major titles. And then these guys over here are the same size or bigger, and they're competing for these, for the cruiserweight title. It's kind of like, there's no line.
No, I can see your point on that. Because I also look at it like, let me ask you this real quick though. Was Hacksaw Jim Duggan the last one to hold the WCW TV title?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. When he found it in the garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the last I can remember of that belt. Because I'm trying to think. I know when Hacksaw found it in the garbage and he brought it out to the ring and now he's champ. I'm like, who else held it after him? Did they get rid of it? I'm trying to think about that, but I couldn't think of anything. Yeah. Now, another title I think that's prestige but doesn't get pushed a lot, you don't hear too much about it. I put it like the NWA Dome title. I think that belt, is very, very decent, if you ask me.
I missed it. It cut out. I couldn't hear which belt you were talking about.
The WCW Dome Championship. NWA, I mean. NWA.
Oh, yeah.
My bad. Not WCW. NWA Dome Championship. I don't know if it gets promoted a lot or what, but I don't hear much about that belt. Now, I will say this here, that's kind of a plain looking belt, but it does have a lot of prestige to it. And didn't Dusty Rhodes hold that belt?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of everybody else top of my head. But you know, several people held it, I put it like that. And I don't know what needs to be done to promote that better, but that's one of the top belts in history. And that belt, I don't think it ever changed. It might got
Well, it became the big gold for a while. That was I mean, it was the prime. It was the NWA World Championship, and in 1986, whenever Jim Crockett Promotions bought a ton of belts and replaced a ton of them, including because before the NWA World title was the Dome Globe, and then they had the U.S. title was a nickel-plated belt in the same style with the lace leather and the same size as the Dome Globe, but we call it the 10 pounds of silver. That's that was the U.S. heavyweight title. And then in 86, they started replacing, Jim Crockett Promotions started replacing all those belts, because that was kind of the turnover of, prior to 1986, the NWA World title was still being defended pretty much everywhere outside of the World Wrestling Federation and the AWA. Like, it was still, being defended other places besides Jim Crockett Promotions. But after a while, the Crockett's kind of cornered the market on it, and that's when, around that same time, they bought out Georgia Championship Wrestling, which Ole Anderson owned. And I mean, I guess that really happened maybe a year or two before. But if you remember back, like, World Class used to be in NWA territory, so they, that's like Ric Flair wrestling Kerry Von Erich and losing the title to him at the Parade of Champions. That big show they had with God knows how many people in Dallas after David had passed away, and they were doing the big tribute show. So I mean, but after a while, to compete with the WWF, the NWA wanted to pretty much focus on Jim Crockett Promotions, and that's why they bought the Georgia territory and combined it with the Mid-Atlantic territory, and that eventually became what we know as WCW. But the Dome Globe came back around, is it 93? So long story short, Ric Flair was at one point the WCW. After Jim Crockett Promotions became WCW, they started referring to the world champion as the WCW world champion. So technically, like, Ric Flair was the first recognized WCW world champion in 91. And he was also still recognized as the NWA world champion, even though he just held the big gold belt. And then when he left and went to the WWE, he took the big gold belt with him. And the reason was because he had put down a $25,000 standard deal with the NWA world title. Was the champion had to put down a $25,000 deposit to be the champion and carry the belt with them. And that made them responsible for it, because the Crumrine is the most expensive championship belt. The big gold was the most expensive championship belt in history. That thing was super duper expensive. And that's why, even though, for instance, this is the original prototype, had the NWA logo on it. That's why I got this belt is based off of that. This is the prototype design for the big gold that originally the NWA and Jim Crockett Promotions had agreed upon. But when Jim Crockett Promotions was footing the bill, they decided to not put the NWA logo on the belt because it costs so much money. And if they ever split from the NWA and rebranded, which they kind of did, they wanted to be able to continue to use that belt since they put so much daggone money into it. But when Flair took the title, the big gold, to WWE, WCW stripped Flair of the WCW world title. The NWA kept recognizing Flair, and then WCW and NWA kind of had a falling out at that time because they didn't want Ric Flair to go to the WWE. The NWA didn't. They wanted, they didn't, and that was completely mishandled by the management at WCW, letting their world champion pretty much go his contract run out, letting him just walk pretty much. And then So then we got the belt when Lex Luger became when Lex Luger became the world champion. He got that other world title Reggie Parks made, the 91 to 94 style title. And then anyway, so eventually Flair got his $25,000 back and sent the big gold belt back to WCW. And then WCW had a working relationship with New Japan, and they had decided at the time to put the NWA world title, which was the big gold belt, up in the G1 Climax in New Japan. And that's when Masahiro Chono won the G1 and became the NWA world champion. So he had the big gold belt, but they still had the WCW world title was the smaller one, the Reggie Parks belt. Then Chono was supposed to come drop the belt to Barry Windham. He couldn't come, so he dropped the belt to the Great Muta. Muta came and brought the NWA world title and dropped it to Barry Windham in WCW on pay-per-view. And then Barry Windham was the NWA champion. He lost it to Ric Flair at Beach Blast that summer. Later, going down the line, Ric Flair had the title, and WCW wanted him to drop the NWA belt to Ravishing Rick Rude. And the NWA did not want him to drop the belt. They wanted Flair to just carry it and keep it. And they did not want Rick Rude, for some reason, to be the NWA world champion. So then WCW and the NWA had a big falling out. That's where they started referring to the big gold as the World Heavyweight Championship, recognized by WCW International. So WCW International was the fictitious governing body that represented their relationship with New Japan, because again, the NWA world title was supposed to be shared with WCW and New Japan, as well as all the other NWA promotions and territories that were involved with the company. And then at that point, once that split happened, WCW kept the big gold belt, and the NWA, this is where I was going with it, the NWA finally went back to using the dome globe. So it's like a several-year thing.
I love the history because there were some things in there that you were saying I did not know. And, you learn something. If you're a wrestling fan, you'll always learn something from someone. Yeah. You'll never know everything. Somebody knows more than you, or somebody knows something that you don't know. So I love that. So don't get me wrong, I love it.
So just so you know, too, that the NWA is still, do you know about the current NWA program that's on?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where they're I think they were trying to do something with, they've been trying to do something, but, they are not, for whatever reason, they're not, I don't know what Billy Corgan's plan is. I can't say how happy he is or how, or what his plan with it was. I really thought at the time that he was going a different direction with the NWA, that he was going to do some kind of licensing deal with the champions and stuff like that. But he went away from that, and he's just trying to have his, TV shows and his product and do it, in his way. But I can't figure out, they seem to have gained some traction. They've had some really good shows, but the crowds are not large, and they I'm not sure what their plan is to change that.
Oh, okay. I know. Okay, I want to switch things up a little bit. I know there was a point when Ric Flair did bring the big gold to the WWF at that time. When he did bring it to the WWF, I know WCW went to a different style of the championship. It still kind of mirrored, to me it does, the big gold. It kind of mirrors it a little bit, like the big gold junior, whatever you want to call it. But because it is a big circular belt with, a lot of gold, and this one does have some color to it, well, black color, but still. And I know that belt only stuck around for 3, 4 years, something like 2, 3, 4 years, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when Vader had it, Ron Simmons had it. Then when Ric Flair finally went back to WCW, he held it for a little bit. Then they finally went back to the original big gold, all that good stuff. So I do remember those days. And a lot of, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this story too. With this here particular belt, Stone Cold had that belt, and I know they only had that blue color strap for maybe a couple of months, not long at all, I'll put it like that. before they went to a black strap. You know, Stone Cold had the belt, and everybody knows the story how he jabbed him in the neck, and he didn't like that. That's the reason why he had his own belt design, and that was the Smoker Skull, where he had a gold and a silver one, you know, all that good stuff. And I think it was the gold that they used on TV, and he kept the silver one for himself. You know, so that was never really ever seen on TV. You just seen pictures of it. And that kind of goes back to a conversation we had before here on the live, that when people, you know what, I'm finna throw a monkey wrench to what I'm saying, because this has just been bothering me, and I know I've sent you messages on it, and I know you had your opinion on this as well too. So I'm finna throw a monkey wrench at what I'm saying. I can't get this out of my mind, so I gotta say something. I do not understand why people would buy a belt, whether it's shop or bootleg, and don't like it.
Yeah.
Like those videos I sent you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not telling nobody what to do with their money. It's your money, your property. You do what you want to do. But I just don't understand it. You know, like, okay, for example, I'm pretty sure y'all heard me say plenty of times, I hate the undisputed belt. I think that's one of the most ugliest belts there is. To me, it looked like a pirate ship flag. It's just, no. And I would never, ever, ever buy that belt. The only way I would have that belt in my possession is if someone else bought it for me. But me spending my hard-earned money, no. But why? Because I don't know, man. It's just mind-blowing to me that you would do something of such. Because like I sent you in the video, I'm like, in those videos I sent you, I was like, why is people complaining about something but then buy it and then trash talk it?
Yeah. It's the stupidest thing.
I'm sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. I'm sorry.
No, you're completely right.
What I was saying. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're completely right. And another thing I watched as they were like, you know what I don't like about, like, but one on the spinner belt, he said something about like he didn't like the fact that it looks smaller than it did on TV, and it's like, because I guess in their minds they think official replica means it's going to be like spec wise perfect, like to the belt on TV, and I was like, no, do you think that they handed this, whatever toy company or whatever company overseas is producing those those shop belts, because I don't know why people think those are produced in the U.S. They're not. You know, they're made overseas too, just like anything like that. But they're, you know, it's not like they sent the real spinner belt, the real one John Cena used out of the however many 7 or 8 different ones he had anyway, and sent that over there and were like, make this title exactly like this. That didn't happen. They did just like Jagu does, just like all belt makers do. They send them pictures and then they make it based off of that. And then they send over that art and dimensions or whatever based on the belt. And somebody at WWE goes, yeah, it looks good. Just make it that way. You know, it's not like people think it's the exact same thing. Like, oh, if you get the shop replica, it's the same as the real belt on TV. It's going to be, the plates are going to be spec wise just the same. But even like I've watched videos on the new shop, the blue Big Eagle, and there's still some things people are like, well, it's got nugget texturing, but it's not the same. And it's got, you know, all these tiny details that they went ahead and spent the $500 or whatever on the belt. And then when they got it, they were like, this is not the same as the one on TV. Yeah, no kidding. Like, but then they complain about it the whole time.
I don't think they understand what the word replica means.
Right.
You know, I just look at, it's kind of like what you said when you say you don't last long in a lot of these belt groups because of some of the crap they be saying and doing.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of feel with some of these videos, these unboxings and stuff like that. I'm like, do y'all understand what y'all talking about? Yeah. A replica, it means something that's kind of similar to the original.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I just had to get that off my chest. You know, it's like I said, I'm not telling nobody what to do their money. It's your money, your business. You do what you want to do. I'm not here to tell you anything. But that just, when you put it out to the public and I see that, I'm like, huh? You know, okay, it's like it's like somebody drinking Pepsi and they hate Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I love Coke. I never drink a Pepsi, but then you drink it and you like, oh, this is disgusting. Oh, this, I don't know why I bought this.
Like, you still drinking it, and you still gave Pepsi that money.
It doesn't make no sense.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh, whatever, man. I don't know. I just
gripe the whole time you're having it. You know, you're drinking, like you said, drinking a Pepsi or something. It's like they make replica NBA jerseys and like you got right there, or just sports jerseys and stuff like that. Now, are you really going to take that jersey to the game and hold it up to the player's jersey and be like, hold on, the orange in this the red on this is a little bit different hue on it. So now, God dang it, like I want my money back. Like, like, hold on, like this is not perfect. This is not just like the one that Kobe Bryant wore, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like this Laker jersey, the purple is different. It don't look the same when I get here. Then you go throw, you know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's like, really? It's again, replica jersey, replica basketball, replica whatever. It's not going to be perfect to the one they're using in the game. Like, it's not, it's not going to be 100% the same. They just, the same thing. When they making, whatever company makes these jerseys, they probably doing the same thing. They probably looking at a photo going, okay, that's what we're trying to make right there. And like, and then they did the best they could with it. It's pretty good, It's pretty good.
And you have a point. See, I got that jersey signed by that person right there, James Harden. I don't know if you know who that is, but I got that jersey signed by him. And the jersey he actually had on did look a tad bit different. But that's not the real thing that the players wear.
Right.
And like, that's what I be saying about these belts. And I'll be watching people complain, oh, WWE, they give us these products and it's look at the leather, it's this and that. I have to go in and get it re-leather. I'm like, no, you don't. You choose. What you? And then what kills me is this here. I'm not gonna say this person's name, but this person on YouTube, he's very famous for his belts and his wrestling, stuff. His wrestling belts and other things as well too. Oh, I want to say the name so bad, but I'm not.
You can go ahead. I probably know who you're talking about because
Okay, I'm a big fan of this guy. Don't get me wrong when I say this. I'm a huge fan of this guy, and I sub to his YouTube channel. I watch all of his videos every time he makes one. But this person here says a lot that when he gets a belt, he always gets it re-leather because he hates the WWE leather and it's so stiff and blah, blah, blah. And he has them displayed, behind him on the shelf and stuff like that. Then when he finally showed a trick or how he get those belts to stand, he got it rigged. He used a pool noodle to hold them on so they can, display right. He literally said, because the leather is so soft, the belts will start to fall back. You know what I'm saying? So it won't display perfectly. So he rigged it. And then when he said that, I was thinking in my head, that's why you don't want leather to be so soft.
Yeah.
I mean, people are so fixated what they see on TV, and they want their belts to be the real thing, just like they see on TV.
Yeah.
And I've always said, if you want the real thing, you finna spend some thousands.
Yeah.
10, 20,000, probably more. It all depends. But you finna be spending some money.
Right.
You're not finna spend $300-400 and thinking it's gonna be the real thing to the TV. No. And the person I'm talking about, just in case people are wondering, like I said, I don't want to make it seem like I'm talking crap about this guy, but when he said that, that kind of blew my mind. I'm talking about Stephen Hammer.
Yeah.
He said that in one of his videos, and he uses a pool noodle. That's how he rigged it to prop his bed up so it could show, because the leather's so soft it falls back. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, but ain't you the one that always say you're going to get the belts re-leathered?
Yeah. He's I've had conversations with him offline. Like he's he joined this group for like a cool minute. He was here for like a month maybe. He did join this group and was talking like I can't remember what belt we were showing. or that he saw it. It may have been the NWA TV belt, and he was like, "Dang, Jagu's leather's gotten a lot better," and talking, bragging about his leather and stuff like that. And I had an offline conversation with him, and I think it was after he left the group, he just disappeared, and I reached out to him because I had already talked to him before, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Like, did you just leave the group because you didn't want to be a member of too many groups, or like what, or like was it something you saw like that we could improve upon? Like, what's up with that, man?" And he was like, here's what he told me. He's like, "No, it's that I'm in some other groups, and they said Jagu was a scammer." And yeah, apparently and that is a thing. Like, there are groups, because there is this one guy who's a so-called wrestler, I know, in the UK, and I went through some stuff with this guy because he had ordered a belt, and there was he hit me up and blew me up with like a ton of messages, and then he claimed that Paige was his niece, the WWE superstar Paige, and that she was going to bash Jagu on Twitter if we didn't do something, like if I didn't make Jagu do something for him. And I was like, I really don't care. Like, go ahead and have her do it. I don't care. I don't really care nothing about her anyway, or nothing about her opinion. And well, once she says something, ain't nobody going to buy any more belts. And I was like, okay, dude, you go ahead, do you. Like, I'm not worried. You knock yourself out with that. And then he went all over every one of these belt groups saying Jagu's a scammer, and he only gave one side of the story. And a lot of people bought into it, because there's people that are in this group right now, matter of fact, that I've talked to about it, because they heard that he was a scammer. And I was like, look in this group and look at the people that are ordering from him. And if you have any questions, reach out to somebody, because, you see Tony Thorpe, who has quite a collection, and he's bought belts recently, and he ain't had no problem, and I'm just like, reach out to the people in the group. That's who's going to tell you the truth anyway. Like, they're, you know what I mean? Like, don't believe, this stuff going around. Like, reach out, because I don't know what you're talking about, scam, like what kind of scam. But it was a claim that Jagu, he said that Jagu promised that he was going to have a belt ready in time for some independent show he was running up there. And because something happened and he didn't get the belt ready in time, that he wasn't going to pay for it, pay the rest of the money that he owed Jagu. And that, that was where the reputation thing, like, hey, I'm gonna go around telling everybody that he's a scammer and stuff. And anyway, it was it's a whole one-sided deal in the first place. And I mean, you can't. What he was describing to me was that he sold all these tickets, and now he's going to have to refund all these tickets because the belt won't be ready. And I'm like, did you really base an entire event off of if a belt's going to be? I mean, like, to me, that's just stupid. Like, if you're a businessman and this is how you conducting business, and you did this over a belt that you can't control the time frame it gets done or the time frame it gets shipped in, and by the way, the belt had been shipped already, and that was the real issue. It was over shipping, and the fact that it wasn't going to get shipped to him in time because of customs and whatever else going from Pakistan to the UK. And so he's on these groups bashing it. And Stephen Hammer's just like, well, it's not that I think Jagu's a scammer. It's that I have to, it's like a thing out there, so I can't be associated with this group. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I put it like this here. I tell everybody, if I don't care who you buy a bike, oh Lord. I don't care who you buy a belt from. Ask the people who bought belts from them how you feel.
Yep. Do
you like the product? What scale you rate on from a 1 to 10? Whatever, whatever question you want to ask. Because I love Jagu's work, but I will still give my honest 100% opinion. You know what I'm saying? And scam, I mean, right now I have a total of 15 belts.
Yeah.
And 10 of them came from Jagu. So obviously it's not a scam, at least not on my part. And what you showed before is not a scam on your part either. So
yeah, I had people hit me up and be like, "Hey, I heard that the paint jobs he does on belts are bad," and then like I happen to have one of my belts with me here, but like, And then I show them something like this. I'm like, you see that paint, that detail? Do you see paint running over? Do you see it bleeding over? Do you see it on the gold? You know, like places like that. I'd be like showing them close-up pictures and be like, oh, well, I don't know that belt came from him. And I'd be like, all right, well, then if that's what you know, man, I ain't gonna try to do it no more. I'm trying to show you a belt he just made for me, you know, like, and show you that I've got no paint problems here. Like I've got, you know, there's no paint spill over. I don't have red showing under the white. I don't have none of that problem. I mean, it's a pretty clean job, you know, like I don't see, you know, I have not seen bad paint jobs by him that were like bad, like he's talking about, like a lot of foreign makers do. So it's just like, well, why'd you even ask me if you ain't gonna take my word for it? And then again, it comes back to, they think like, because a lot of belt makers like X-Man belts have American salespeople and stuff like that, they think that we're doing the same thing here. And it's like, no, I'm not on no payroll. Like nobody gave me no money. I don't owe him anything, and he don't owe me nothing. And you know, like I'm not gonna make a lie up to sell his belts, because it's not like he's cut me back like, hey, every belt you sell, I'm gonna give you some cash or what. No, nothing like that. I'm not selling belts for him. Nobody is that I know of for Jagu. So I'm like, I don't know. That's become such a thing now, is like all these Americans that are selling the belts for the Pakistani makers so they can get a cut of it. I mean, it's like, you know, when this group first started up, we had a guy that was doing the raffles on a separate Facebook page. And he had a fake Facebook profile and was entering the raffles himself. And he wasn't winning them. So this man was putting on the raffles, giving himself free spots in it. What was happening is he was not getting enough money to cover the price of the belt, because he was giving himself so many spots every time and then getting enough spots from selling the other spots. And so he was coming out of pocket on some of the money to pay for the belt to be made for the raffle winner, because he never was winning them. He kept putting himself in the raffle, giving himself like 4 or 5 spots. I don't know how many he was giving himself, but he was losing his own raffles. And then he was mad at Jagu because he wanted free belts from Jagu. He was like, look at all these belts I'm selling for you. I want free belts. You know, like, because he was shelling out money because he was trying to screw everybody else. And then I had to kick him out of, his name was Wes something, I think, but I had to kick him out of the group and everything, and just be like, block him and all that, because I found all this out after the fact. And I was like,
Wow. I feel like this here, man. I don't get no money from Jagu whatsoever. Yeah. Jagu don't do any. Only thing kind of transaction me and Jagu have is I send him money, he send me a belt. Yep. That's it. He ain't paying me to promote his name, promote his business, nothing.
Yeah.
I've told plenty of people where I get my belts from, my co-workers, you know, anybody that wants to buy a belt, I recommend him. Why? Because of the things that I have.
Yeah.
And he, like, y'all see the belts behind me, like this one right here. He even make custom belts that, you know, that you might want to come up with. You might find them on the internet. You might draw you something up, whatever. He makes them. So the scamming part, he ain't never scammed me. And don't look like he ever scammed you. So that's how I'm going with it.
No. I mean, it just comes from the whole belt, but that's part of the reason that you know, like that I don't get into. I try to stay out of other belt groups and stuff like that, because that's the drama that's just going on in this community, and I'm just like, I can't take it. And I see a lot of other, you know, when I join these groups, even to just peek in and see what it's like, because a lot of times I do that. Like if I see one of these groups pop up, I'll be like, well, I'll join, take a look at it, and then I'm gonna dip out probably if it didn't, you know, if it's like what I think it's gonna be. And then I see a lot of the other people that are in this group in those groups, and I don't know how they do it, because I get in there and immediately it's like a contest of like some of these guys having name value, the belt makers and stuff like that. Like, look at me, I spent $600 on my bootleg belt from, you know, whatever, and made by Ali whatever from, you know, the same town they all live in. And like it's like, oh my God, it's such a thing like that. But that's what really painted that picture with Stephen Hammer for me. It was like, oh, I see what this is. These people, some of these people are so caught up in all that drama and all that made up prestige of like certain belt makers that they're like, well, I did pay more for this belt because this belt maker, I don't know, just like, yeah, but you paid more because you got two middlemen working for him and all this. And the belts, when I see them, I'm like, I don't really see the difference. I'm not seeing anything that just catches my eye, and I'm like, wow, that is so much better than what I've been getting. Like, I'm not seeing it. So
the only thing that I've done, I have joined some other belt groups before I joined this one. And I've seen some of the belts, and I've seen how some people talk. I don't even know if I'm still in those groups or not, because I haven't responded to none of those. Then when I joined this belt group, Jagu's belt group, I'm looking like, wow, people show off their belts. That's it. They happy they got their belts. Whatever the case is, and it doesn't really seem to be any drama.
yeah.
So, and that's what I want. I don't care that you spend $1,000 on your belt and I spend $100. Who cares?
Right.
You know, if you want a belt, you're gonna spend what you can spend, because not everybody can spend a whole lot of money.
Right.
So you're gonna spend what you can spend, and you're gonna get what you can get. Plain and simple. That's it. And some people can afford the $5, $10, $20,000 belts. Some people can only afford the $50 belts. You know what I'm saying? When I first started collecting the belt I bought was only $100. Because, you know, I was new to this, so I didn't know. Then I started getting better and better with it, started recognizing some things, and then I don't remember who it was, but somebody recommended Jagu's belt, and I've been with him ever since. Only got, what, 2 belts now that I got from eBay. I had 3. I gave one of them away. I think I sent you that screenshot.
Yeah, I saw the video. Yeah.
Okay. And I gave one of them away, and the only one that I have, besides my shop belts, I ain't mentioned my shop belts, but and the other one that I want from coworkers, you know, because, you know, we do crazy things after work, like shooting pool and stuff, and that's one of my favorite things to do. So besides those 3 belts, all my belts come from Jagu. You know, so okay, you showed your belt. I want to show mine real quick. I want to show one of mine real quick. Here's one of my belts that, you know, no paint bleeding. You know, he got great color on it. I think everything lines up perfectly, if you ask me. And this is nowhere near a TV accurate belt. I don't care about that crap. I get something that comes from my brain. You know, whether I find it, whether I draw it up, whether somebody talking about it, or anything. You know what I'm saying? I try to go out, you know, I like abnormal belts. I like to get belts that's different. And when I sent Jagu the picture of that, he drew it up, he sent me the thing, and voila. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron West said he loves my belt. Thank you, I appreciate you. But there is, you kind of blew my mind when you said that people said Jagu was a scammer.
Yeah.
I mean, when did he start this? Yesterday? You know, because he haven't scammed me, at least not yet. So I'm not saying he is a scammer. I'm not saying he's not, but I haven't got scammed. That's how I'm putting it. I haven't got scammed. I'm moving my microphone. I'm constantly moving my mic, I'm trying to get the best sound I can get. But anyway, and like I said, this is the first belt he ever made for me. My hybrid Big Eagle. That was what, 2 years ago. Compared to the belt I just showed you was a couple months ago. So, yeah. You know, so all the belts I got from him, like I said, I got like 10 belts from him. I got one more coming. And he sent me an update on that like a week or so ago. So, come on now. I don't get I agree with you. I do not like the drama in all these belt groups. That's why like I said, I don't even know if I deleted myself from those groups yet, because I don't even know how really, but you might have to show me that one day. But I just stopped replying in those groups because I'm like, really, y'all? Really? I said, forget it. So I've been lucky with this one. I've been real lucky. You know what I'm saying? I've been blessed, I guess you could say, because I don't like the drama. I don't like the nonsense. If you got a belt, like you always say, and I said too, show it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody show it. They give their opinion on it, whether they like it, or a few things they might want it better, whatever the case is. Then that's what I want, your honest feedback. Don't tell me no lies. Tell me the truth. 100% truth. Do you like it? You know? And to me, that's the beauty of this belt collecting, being 100% honest and with no drama. Let's just keep it real. You know what I'm saying? And Cedric said, amen on the drama. There is no need for it. It's leather, metal, and paint.
But
he hit the nail on the head with that one. He hit the nail on the head with that one.
But you got there are people that keep coasting around all over social media to these groups, and they try to scam belt makers. Like, it's unbelievable. They're like, the stuff that comes out later, it's like, oh, this person ordered 6 belts and put a down payment on them, and then did something through PayPal, and then filed a claim and got all their money back, and whatever it was. I'm like, good God Almighty, what's up?
I just added Mr. Cedric in here.
I'm just saying, I had to chime in. First of all, thanks for the invite. I just had to chime in on it because that's like my biggest thing. And what all of us, I'm sure, have growing up, watching wrestling, seeing the belts. Oh, I would like to have a belt in my collection. I know that's me.
That was me.
I know that's me. That's all. I'm practically living my childhood right now because I'm able to get championship belts from other collectors, makers, what have you.
Yeah.
You don't have to get a belt. Oh, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah. This is my all-time favorite belt ever. Macho Man is the GOAT in my opinion. Okay, I'm a huge Macho Man mark. I'm going to work on a project. I'm going to have a Macho Man wall. That's going to happen. but we're all living the dream of being able to collect what we grow up and go and whatnot. And in some cases, let our mind wander and create something new, something custom. And we have the means more now than ever to make that happen.
Yeah. So
shout out to Jagu. I got one belt from him. I got like a list of like 6 more that I'm going to have Jagu personally do. But if not Jagu, there's other guys as well. There's enough for everybody. There's no need to scam, to try to get over on somebody for leather, metal, and paint.
Yep. That's well said.
Just saying.
I had to add you in, man, because when you said that comment, I said, oh, I got to bring him in. Hold on. Because I agree with you, man. That's what it is. And I said that too. Because there is another guy on YouTube that collects belts, and you can tell it's nowhere near real, authentic, or anything. And he says, real, I am not here to question you. You got something you like, that's it. Right. Who am I to tell you anything?
But, hey, if everybody just goes in with the mindset of, if you like it, I love it.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. And you guys said this in a previous live, especially if you going through a maker. The maker works for you. And if you're not descriptive enough, and you're not telling the maker what you want, shame on you.
Yeah.
Now, if there is a barrier, i.e., if there is a communication barrier, when I can somewhat understand that. But if you continuously go into that person and not broaden your horizons to someone that you can have that back and forth dialogue with, then that again is on you. because the makers work for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I said before, it's like going to get your hair cut. That barber, you the boss of that barber because you're paying them.
Yep.
Mhm.
So you tell that barber how you want your hair cut.
Right.
If that barber mess up your hair, I bet you ain't going back to him again.
No.
I guarantee it.
More than likely, no.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But you
it
know,
really is.
if you're around in this belt community, people will show their belts, and the comments is savage. Like people are just like, oh, there shouldn't be paint there. There shouldn't be. This leather was done, you know, like it's immediate. It's like, here, let me just pick apart what you just open that box and you're having the time of your life. You know, you're like, oh man, I love it. You know, no matter how imperfect or not TV accurate it is, you love it, and then somebody's got to hate immediately and just eat it up.
I heard one comment. I'm piggybacking on what you said. I heard one comment in regards to, oh, it's not TV accurate. It's TV accurate. Here is a news flash. None of the belts that we are getting from any of these makers or from anybody, unless you get it from the person who made it for that particular company, it is not TV accurate. I don't care what you say.
Yep.
It is not. It is not TV accurate. So when I see that, and that irks me when makers post that, like, oh, it's TV accurate. You just, I understand you're trying to sell your product, but it is not. It's not TV. It is not TV accurate. It is not. None of these belts that we're getting.
No. I want to piggyback on what y'all saying. My very first belt unboxing was the Big Eagle. I got that belt off of eBay, and I got a bunch of nasty comments on that video. I have. Oh, that belt is so thin. You need to get that belt re-leathered. Blah blah blah. I said, no, I'm not. I like it. I like it. You know,
I need to get a re-leather. I need to do the. Okay, go ahead and give me the money to do it, and I'll do it just to please you.
Yeah.
And
I will do it just. Hey, if it's that big a problem, you give me the money to do it, and I will get it done. In fact, I'll let you choose who freaking re-leathers it. and you could pay them, and then you could pay the insurance for me to ship it to that person and get it done. Since you were so worried about what I got and what I spent my money on,
I will 100% admit that belt was horrible. I will admit it, but I loved it. That was my very first belt. I've been a wrestling fan since, like I said, since the 80s, to the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And what 2-3 years ago, I finally got a belt, and I loved it. I ended up giving that belt away because I had Jaguar to make this one. This was not the exact one, but it was like this. And Jaguar finally made this one, so I gave that belt away to somebody else to get that same feeling that I had. Someone else who never had a belt. That's what these belts supposed to represent. Something that you love, something that you want, blah, blah, blah. For example, I'm going by what you said there, Mr. Cedric. You said none of these belts are TV accurate.
Be right back.
100% true. Yeah. Here's the thing on that, though. Here's the thing on that. This one right here is a shop belt.
Right.
Come from the WWE shop. These stones right inside the spinning part, they supposed to be yellow. How come they white? None of these belts are 100% accurate. Why do you think they made so many different versions of the Big Gold? Why do you think they just made a second version of the Undisputed? And it's still not right. It's not going to never be TV accurate. There's no such thing.
I'll come up in a minute.
Unless you go to Jamar whoever these belt makers are. I can't think of all their names top of my head right now. Unless you go to all these different belt makers who actually make it for these wrestling promotions, you're not going to get TV accurate. And if you do, you're going to spend thousands of dollars.
Exactly. So whereas, go ahead and spend your $300, $350. Get what you want, and if you want a modification to it, hey, it's your $300 and $350. You can get it however you want. It's that easy. It is. It really is.
I don't, and I agree with Mr. Joey here was saying they will knock you down because your belt don't look this way or doesn't. It's like, no, man. I got something I like. Like, for example, this belt right here, give me a second.
Yep.
This belt right here is my universal belt.
Okay.
A lot of people think that's not TV accurate. That's not what the belt actually looks like. This right here. This is the universal belt. This is not what it looks like. They ain't the universal belt. I'll say this is my version of it. You know,
it's my interpretation of what I think the Universal Championship should be.
That's what I got, what I want, what I spent my money on. Who are you to tell me otherwise? And I was looking at this like, really? Then I left, when they left me that comment, I left one back and I said, well, if you don't like that, you ain't gonna like the rest of my belts.
Exactly.
I ain't gonna say none, but none of my belts represent what you see on TV. None of them.
Exactly.
I'm doing what I do best. I'm getting my PhD in psychology.
Oh gosh, my wife was leaving a message on Alexa. But anyway, I'm sorry, I had to hear the announcement. But yeah, that's the thing. Like when they switched to the Attitude Era, to get the FI logo, I don't have not one single belt from that era on. All my WWF stuff is WWF with the block logo. That's my personal preference. That's my personal preference. If I get anything, it's gonna have that block logo, because I'm not a fan of anything else. It came out with some stuff like when Cody came out with the textured IC on white. I like that. I like that because I'm a slave to the original form. So, but yeah, it's like, don't overcomplicate it, guys.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it.
That's the best way to put it. Don't overcomplicate it.
Last time I checked, this thing is metal. There's some leather and some paint on it. That's all it is.
Okay, let me give you one better real quick. Let me give you one better. This past February, I went to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
I took this particular belt with me.
I think I saw pictures of you. That's the U.S., right?
No, this is my World Championship.
Okay.
You know how many people loved that belt when they saw it? Asked me where they got it from. I probably made Jagu another 100 customers.
Hey, exactly.
Probably more than that. Everybody's like, man, where you get that belt from? I never seen that on the shop. I said, oh, I had it specially made. Where you get it from? I told them, go check my channel, get Jagu's information. Bam. Every single time. I couldn't really enjoy the show that much because I'm telling everybody where they can get a belt from. So obviously people like non-TV accurate belts, if that makes sense. Not every belt has to be, you know what I'm saying? So I agree with you, Joe. I'm sorry. I went on a rant. I apologize. I had to get it off my chest. Me and Joey, I seen him pictures of it. I said, man, why are people buying stuff and they talking crap? I don't get that. I mean, it's your money. You do what you want to do, but I just can't fathom that. Like I was telling him before you came on, the Undisputed belt, I think that's the most ugliest belt ever, but you'll never see me buy
it. It's lazy. That's a very lazy design, and it's sad that they have it represented 4 different championships. But that's my opinion. And I'm sure there are others who feel differently. That's wonderful. We live in a world where everyone has their opinions and they're going to vocalize it. Me, I just scroll on. Yeah. I'm getting my Universal title restoned. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Outstanding. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm getting it restored so I can be TV accurate. Okay. No such thing, but hey.
Yeah, right.
Your money. Do what makes you feel good about the belt that you spend your hard-earned money on.
Dude,
if that makes you feel good and whatnot, by all means, do you, boo boo.
Have you do you watch Paul Martin's channel?
I know. I don't even know who he is, honestly.
He's a re-leatherer in
Okay.
England. He's super good. But one of his upcharge items is putting cubic zirconias in belts, and it's but and like it's like he's showing off because WWE did a lot to like improve the shop with the plates, like they with the 5mm cast plates, and they do look good, man. Like I ain't gonna lie, but like his big thing is not only am I gonna put it on leather, but if I can squeeze a few hundred more dollars out of you for some cubic zirconias to replace the gems, but when I look at it side by side, I'm like,
I don't see the difference.
I don't see it either, and I'm like, I'm not a jeweler looking under the darn thing, like. Sir,
Exactly.
These are not real diamonds.
Hey, hey. If somebody's willing to spend the money, hey, by all means, by all means,
they're paying for him to do it. I mean,
so,
cubic zirconia is into belts, boy. It was the Swarovski.
So Swarovski's crystals.
Now it's cubic zirconias. Like those aren't good enough. I got to get the zirconias, and next thing you know, somebody's going to come out with genuine diamonds on their it's like, holy cow! How much you spent on this belt?
I want you to go into. I want you actually to go into the diamond mines, and I want you to hand pick my diamonds. Then I want you to shape it into the. Man, shut up.
Yeah. Like I want Ric Flair to wipe his like sweat on this belt. And so that way I know.
Yeah, I know my stuff is. I know my stuff is legit. The gold. I want Ric Flair to shit my gold and put it on this belt.
Yeah, then I know it's the real Ric Flair.
I know it's the real Ric Flair, and I will always have a piece of Ric Flair with my belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that either because I sent him one too. I sent Joey one with the guy. It was the guy with the undisputed. He had Eddie Guerrero, and he said he don't like it, so he bought a bootleg strap, just all black. I'm thinking in my head, then why use get the Eddie Guerrero?
The whole point was to get the Eddie Guerrero custom. Now you just got a regular undisputed replica on leather.
Or like the one off the shop, right? The tribute one that they did.
Yeah.
Or you could have just went to a maker and had them do it however you wanted to do, and that price is probably cheaper than what you paid for it at the shop.
Yep.
But I don't know.
All the belts I've got. Okay, I'll put it like this. For example, this belt right here, the WWE just released this belt.
Which one?
The Blue Big Eagle. They just released it 2 weeks ago, something like that. On the shop, it's like $600. I paid nowhere near the price of that. I know y'all hear that.
Yep.
You hear that? That's metal. It hurt my
You got
face.
one too.
God damn. See?
With an actual WWF logo that you can't get from the shop.
That on mine right there. WWF.
Mm-hmm.
With the crocodile backing.
Oh, I ain't got crocodile backing, but it is what it is.
Yep. And I didn't pay nowhere near $600 and still got a great belt.
Yeah.
Got a great belt.
Great belt.
Not synthetic simulated leather.
I got a great belt. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm
exactly.
Sorry,
No,
I've been on a rant.
No. I'll put the disclaimer out there. No knock to anybody who goes to WWE shop and buy your belt from there. But hey, to each their own. There are folks who does that. Yes, that is an option. That really is an option.
Yeah, and you have your choice.
And we have Jagu for our options.
Yeah. And we got lots of other choices too if we want them. That's a pretty good market right now. There's a lot of makers involved at various levels and prices. So it's like
exactly.
You can
I messaged Jagu yesterday. In fact, I told him I got like 6 belts that just off of his videos alone. First off, I love how Jagger do his videos. I just do. I love that. That's like, oh, okay. And do it on each single plate that's on the belt. I like that.
Yeah.
His, for instance, NWA National. One, you ain't gonna get that in no shop. Two, I'm a territory buff. I love territory, all the territory stuff. Jagger NWA National. I haven't seen another person who gold plates that belt. Gold plates, not paint, plates it.
Right.
I think the gold paint is cheap. I like, can we gold plate this? So that I'm like, okay, Jagger's gonna do that for me. So that the world class world title, the USWA unified title, the CWA world title, the ICW international title. I got a list of stuff that Jagger's gonna do for me. So I'm just gotta get the funds right. That's
okay.
Hey, that's what I was saying earlier. It all depends on your budget, what you want, what you can get, as long as you get something
Exactly.
you like. That's what I don't understand. Don't come to me and tell me because my belt ain't what you see on TV, that's not the right thing. Who are you to tell me what to get? Like I'm not here to tell you what to get. I'm just confused. But I don't tell you what to get.
I keep on scrolling, but I'll be like, I'll in my head, I'll be like, okay, so this is not the right one. Do you have the right one?
Yeah, show me.
Show me what right looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And this is TV accurate, yes? Okay, great. Okay, on the TV on the accurate, I know the makers have their stamp on it. Show me where that's on your belt.
And one more thing. Y'all know WWE is selling the authentic TV Elite Series belts that cost like what, 5,000 something like that. You had one person that even came out and said it's still not accurate.
No. it's still a belt made overseas that they sent a design to, and or like our makers, they're taking a picture. I'm telling you, they're doing the same thing. They're taking a picture of the belt and going, yeah, we can make that, and then make it, and it's like, it's never gonna be it. I've literally been to the shows myself, and I've seen what, I mean, honestly, like some of them now, like no Reggie Parks belts were ever CNC machine etched either. So like every one of his belts were 5mm acid etched.
Wing Eagle, TV accurate CNC.
That's not how it was made, buddy. They were all acid etched. Like Reggie Parks is not here to talk about it, but there's no. They didn't CNC, and there's certain belts I think do look good. Like your big gold, like I'm looking at that thing done with the CNC, and I'm like, okay, like I like that. I like the AWA, the later one that Kurt Hennig had. I like the way that looks done CNC. But then like, not hating on anybody, but when I saw like that recent NWA TV title done with CNC, to me, I just looked at it and I was like, I'd rather have it acid etched. You know, like to me, it looked more right acid etched to me, like what I like.
To kind of get to this point, I think a lot of the fans are taking away the prestige of these belts too. You know what I'm saying? Because you constantly want to throw in your negative opinions. Like a lot of people didn't like this belt because it spin, but a lot of people did not understand the reason for this belt. It's because it came with a certain time frame. We all know that it became real popular with spinning rims back in the early 2000s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And John Cena had that hip hop gimmick, so it fit him. That's why this belt was created. A lot of people don't understand that. Whether you like it or not, okay. Like that, like when I sent you, Joe, the video of this guy with that belt. I hate this belt. John Cena made a mockery of hip hop. He wasn't no real rapper. Blah blah blah.
After he bought it, by the way, after he bought the belt, because he said, I have to have this in my collection, but I don't like it.
Make that make sense.
I'm just trying to decipher all that. I really am.
That's
I'm like, you have to have it. You have to have it in your collection, but you don't like it. and you gonna say the same person passed judgment? Okay.
And that's what one thing me and Joe have been talking about. It's like, I'm lost. Explain this to me.
He's like, look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's not as big as it should be for TV accurate and all this stuff like that. I was like, he probably don't even know, like, there's like 8 different versions of the spinner belt that they used on TV, had different side plates. One of them was dual plated that John Cena used. Then most of them were solid gold. Like, there's all these different versions. They had different tooling on them, different everything. Like, it's
one of the one that Randy Orton had a silver tip on it.
Yeah. There was so many. They made smaller belts like Jeff Hardy's, the Intercontinental belt, oval Intercontinental belt that Jeff Hardy had. They had to make smaller because his waist was smaller. So they had to make one that was like a 2x5 on both sides snap box, and it was smaller and more inward than the 2x8 that Randy Orton had. It's like, if you go into that, you'd have like 15 different oval Intercontinentals alone. Like, if you worried about every single small detail about,
it's like, oh my gosh.
On this version, on the Randy Orton version, you could take the nameplate off from the front, but on the version on Rob Van Dam's, it came off from the back.
Yep. Just like when you go and get the network belts off the shop, those come off. You got to unscrew those from the back, but on TV, those come off from the front.
Yeah.
But you want TV accurate? Okay.
So I just don't understand that. But that's why I say some of the fans are taking the prestige from these belts too. Because I'm not gonna lie, I like the spinner. I like it. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't like it, well, I didn't buy. My wife actually bought it for me. But still, I liked the spinner. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, the Undisputed, my personal opinion, is the most ugliest, well, the second ugliest belt that WWE ever came out with.
The Undisputed one?
Yeah. That's to me, that's the most second ugliest belt. The big green to me is the most ugliest. But you will never ever see me buy that Undisputed. Like I said earlier, Joe, if I ever had that belt, it's because somebody else bought it for me. Not because I spent my money.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't get it. I don't get it. Y'all are taking, like Joey said earlier, y'all are taking the fun out of belt collecting.
Some people do. God.
They are taking the fun out of it. And you got people like us that are trying to keep that fun in it. That's saying, look, this is represent what I know of wrestling, my childhood. I can't afford the most expensive belt, but I got something that I like. Something that keeps me, you know what I'm saying, loving the sports entertainment, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, with my jersey right here. I actually had this guy sign this jersey. I know it's kind of far away, you can't see it, but I actually had the guy sign that jersey. And
that's awesome.
He had the jersey on, and trust me, the red was nowhere near the same color red that the had. Nowhere near. And I ain't complaining, talking about, wait a minute, my jersey don't look like this. It ain't authentic.
It's not TV accurate. It's not what they're wearing.
Come on, man.
This one weighs more than that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's the wrong company made it. It's not authentic.
Burn it.
Granted, they changed companies last year, but who cares? It's not TV accurate.
You get something that represents what it is that you love.
Yeah.
That's just plain.
Oh my God.
That's plain and simple. I can't explain it no other way. Unless y'all know how, I don't know how to explain it no better than that. I think a lot of these belt collectors are taking the fun out of this hobby. And to me, it's a fun hobby. I get to see other people facial expression, how they love what they spent their money on. Oh man, I'm so glad to get this. This is the I waited so long. I've been a fan for years. Like I said, I've been a fan for years. I finally got something. Blah blah blah.
Uh-huh.
But
It's
I'll be right back, y'all. Y'all go ahead. I'll be right back.
kind of yeah. It's kind of sad in a way because the hobby wrestling fans in general whatnot now even more so as we in society have to be so overly critical over extra sensitive in any and every aspect of our lives, and it radiates to the medium that's presented to them, where they feel like they have to get their 2 cents in and say what displeases them or whatnot, versus saying, okay, I don't really like that belt.
Yeah.
I don't really like that. Well, that's next belt. I'm gonna like that.
Right.
It is so easy to just scroll past and keep it going. But with you have to have. There's some folks out there who just have to have their 2 cents heard. I have to be heard. You're gonna hear me.
Yeah.
And try to take someone else's joy. You know, it's pretty sad, really.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep. There's that's what I found in a lot of belt groups. Like I go into them hoping for the best, and then I get in there and it's just and it's like, what have I gotten into now? And it's like, here's, like I said, I don't know if you heard that part about Stephen Hammer, like being like so he joined this group for like, I don't know if it was for weeks or a month or what he was in the group, but he was complimenting. He was like, wow, Jagu's leather's gotten a lot better, because he had seen him several years back and really hadn't seen his work in a while, and noticed that, like, wow, he's gotten a lot better. Like the leather is looking really good and everything. How is it? And then I had like a instant messenger conversation about just the leather, and I was showing him some close-up pictures so he could kind of see it, because I thought he was like actually interested in ordering a belt. And I was like, well, I mean, whether you are or aren't, I don't really care. But like, if you ask me, like, hey, I want to see close-up pictures because I want to see, what that leather is looking like. So I'm going to show him. And I did. And then, like I said, he just kind of disappeared from the group. And like I said, it'd only been like a couple weeks before we had a conversation. I was like, hey, I saw you left the group. Is there something you saw in here that you didn't like? Did we do something we can improve upon or whatever? And he was just like, no, it's because in some of the belt groups, they have Jagu on their like scammer maker list. And he goes, and I just, I don't want to be affiliated with that. And I'm like, well, he's not a scammer. And like, there's a misunderstanding there. And like, you kind of bought into like a one-sided story here, which is a lot of the case with those situations. It's like, oh, one-sided deal there. You don't even hear the other side. And he was like, that's okay. I understand he's probably not a scammer, and but I still can't be affiliated with it just because of that. And I'm like, this dude here, like now Stephen Hammer thinks he's like the king of the belt collecting community. like, oh, I can't be affiliated with that because people will know it and think, well, now I'm a scammer or whatever. It's like, huh? I don't even care what who Stephen Hammer's affiliated with. Like,
hey, he's just another collector.
But in his mind, I guess he's letting it get to him. Like,
like I said earlier, don't overthink this. Don't overthink this, because we're all collecting leather, metal, and paint.
Yep.
We're all collecting it. We're all collecting it. No matter if you only have one or if you have thousands, we're still all collecting the same amount.
Yeah.
It really is. So, oh boy. But like I've seen over the last couple of months that my belt collecting group level has definitely grown up. Like I'll respond to a belt I like. The maker send me a link to their group. I'll join. Now, I go and check out their products. Okay. Not really looking at the conversation. Just look at their product. Okay, because that's what it's all about. Yeah. like okay, and And after looking at that, there are some groups whose opinions I take more than others in regards to transactions, whatnot. Have anybody done business with such and such? Okay, yeah, no problem. Stand up guy. Okay, cool. I can trust them. Oh, this person okay, but be mindful of they don't keep the time frames. Okay, noted. Stuff like that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, but all in all, the end goal is getting belts.
Right.
Getting what you like.
Yeah.
So, oh,
But it's bad when there are scammers out there and you can't even figure out who's the scammer from the one that they're just saying is a scammer. And like, who do I even go to now? Like I think that's the way it's gotten where like again, I've had offline conversations with people that are like, well, how do I know? Because I got my money taken by. That's the number one thing that happens with people that are new to collecting is they get in with somebody.
That's why you go to those who are credible sources. I'll be honest. Jagu is part of CBB, Championship Belt Brothers. Ben and Jermaine Rashandi over there, they do an outstanding job of keeping it drama free, sucker free.
Yeah.
And then they'll be quick to put some if someone is kind of sketchy or not, they will let you know. There are a vast amount of folks who do business with makers, and that's who I lean towards, and it's based off that recommendation that brought me to Jagu.
Yeah.
And I when he had that the sale for the North American title, I didn't hesitate because I trusted Jermaine from CBB who bought a belt from him.
Nice.
So
The thing is, though, you'll never know who really to trust. You just have to
Mhm.
throw your trust out there and hope for the best.
Exactly.
That's what
Exactly.
the only thing that you can actually 100% trust if you go into a store, give your money, you get the product right in hand right away, and you walk out.
Exactly.
But if you're
Exactly.
doing stuff online or in something like that, I mean, I got
Yeah.
scammed from buying a jersey online.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So you never know.
Exactly.
Like when I was recommending Jagu, I'm not gonna lie, my very first belt, like I said, was this one right here.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I was scared, thinking in the back of my head, damn, did I just send him my money? I ain't gonna get my pride up. Damn. Oh man.
Yeah.
I was worried. I'm not gonna lie. But like I just said, though, I
Mhm.
got 10 belts from him now, so it doesn't seem like he's no scammer to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not to me.
I got my yeah. I got my first belt it was Mateen. Mateen I met. And Dustin King, his guy here in the States, I know him through a wrestling group I was in. So that kind of helped ease that a little bit. So it's like you gotta be careful, gotta do your due diligence as well.
One thing I found interesting though is the only other foreign maker I've ever bought from besides Jagu is X-Man belts, and I had a terrible experience with that and Chris Stratton
Yeah.
and everything. But then when I see people reviewing it all the time, it sounds like they had great experiences, and I'm like, I don't get it. What was up with me then? Because like I bought a big gold from him because
Okay.
it looked great in the pictures. And Chris Stratton had, I guess, I thought he had a good reputation, and people liked him and stuff like that in the belt community. Yeah, you're making a face, so you probably know different. But like, I don't know. But like,
Well, yeah, no, because lately I've been seeing like, oh, Chris Stratton's is 100%. He's the go-to.
yeah,
That's what I'm seeing nowadays. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. But when I dealt with him, so I got a big gold. When I got it in, I snapped. I always do this with my belts. I always just snap it together and unsnap them and stuff like that, just to check. And the snaps immediately ripped out of the leather. Like that's the first thing that went wrong. Then I sat down and looked at it, and the main plate was crooked. It was tilted a little bit to the right on the leather. So I showed Chris all this stuff, and I'm like, I just want you to know. And the more I snapped it together, at first I think 1 or 2 snaps came out, then more. And I was just like, hey man, what the heck? Like, I thought you said this guy was good and everything. Like, and I got a good price on it. I think I paid $210 for a dual plated big gold. And in the pictures it looked great. But then when I got it and I felt the leather quality and stuff like that, and the snaps broke, I was like, what is this? And he's like, no worry, man. We're going to take good care of you. He goes, I'm going to replace that. We're going to make sure you get that belt replaced. He goes, you can keep that one. And I was like, okay, well. And he said, do you want another big gold or do you want something else? And I ordered a different belt from him. And from his mouth and from the belt maker, it was going to be another 4mm zinc belt to replace this one, because it was this other one just falling apart and stuff. Oh, by the way, after about a week and a half, the backing started coming off too. Like, it was just a hot mess all the way around. And then he sends me another belt, and it was a Reggie IC, but it was 4mm brass. And so the first thing I do is I'm like, all right, man, I'm not trying to complain here, but the etching is real shallow on this, and I'm suspecting this is brass and not zinc. And he goes, it's a free belt. That was when it turned. And Chris Stratton was like, it was a free belt, bro. Like, I was like, no, I paid for a belt. I just got one that was falling apart. And then you said I was getting another one to replace it, not a free belt. That was where it all came in. And then they refused to do anything else after that. I was just like, well, I don't know what to say.
Wow.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna knock on wood.
Yeah, about Chris Stratton being good business and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, well, you could have fooled me, because he did me wrong.
Oh boy.
I was going before I went to Jagu the first time. I was going to get a belt from Fight Night Belts because Stephen Hammer recommended them so much. So I said, okay, I placed the order. Never got an update. Never said anything to me. No, nothing. It was like maybe 2 months went by. Nothing. So I said, okay, I feel a little bad here, a little iffy. I wanted my money back. They gave me my money back. Then I took that same money, went to Jagu. Told them I want this exact belt. And that was my version of the Universal Championship that I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that belt within, 2.5 months? Jagu sent me updates. He sent me pictures. He said, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. Along the way, it only took 2.5 months. And I spent less with Jagu than I did with Fight Night Belts.
Yeah.
And I never got any communication, from Fight Night for like 2 months. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah. I think I joined that group. I think I left that group too. Oh well. Okay.
And that's what Miguel here was saying. We was like, I'm not part of that group no more. I'm done.
Yes. Okay.
Who's the big one? The big one I remember a few years ago when I first got into belt collecting was Muhammad Nawaz. That was like, everybody was like, this is the man. Like, he's the greatest belt maker of all time. And then
I've heard some good stuff about him.
Yeah, and then about 6 months later, everybody, like the group that he was the belt maker for, like, got rid of him, and they were using Ali Anas, or Anas, however you say that, and they were like, yeah, he's screwing people over. He took a bunch of people's money, and now I still see that Muhammad Nawaz is around, and they're like, no, Nawaz is the man, and sometimes he takes your money, but that's just part of it. And I seriously saw that they were like, yeah, I got my money taken by one time, but then I still bought another belt from him, and I got that one, and it took me a year. I'm like,
I did hear people say that if you're willing to just give him your money and wait a year and a half to get a belt, and just work, blah blah blah. Like, not wait that long. Not that.
And here's the beautiful thing about this hobby. I don't know if folks realize this or not. If a maker is under delivering on something, if you do your due diligence, there is a maker out there who will give to you in the terms that you want it. Just got to do your due diligence.
Yeah,
that's why.
Just got to do your due diligence.
That's why every time I get a belt, I give my honest opinion. I say, hey, look, I like it, or maybe this is a little part here, or whatever the case is. Things like that. I give my honest feedback. I'm not gonna lie at all. And like me and Joey been saying, I don't get paid from Jago. I never met him. You know what I'm saying? He
Mhm.
don't give me nothing
Exactly.
for free. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's my duty to uh, uh, represent him in a good way because he gives me good products.
That's good. Yeah. And
You know, at a great price.
that's what it comes down to.
And I never discuss how much I pay for a belt. Never.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he's going to charge me one price and then charge you another. So I'm like, I don't want you to say, well, why you charge that guy less, and I don't want that kind of drama starting. So I don't do that. I just say, look, this guy, he got me a great belt at a great price. I said, yeah, you might have to wait a couple of months, 2-3 months, whatever, to get it, but my money is worth it.
Standard, 2-3 months, standard.
My observation of that too is whenever you got belt makers that try to make one price across the board, it's usually the high end of what they would charge. So it's better to let that float because they have to subject their prices and stuff to supply and you know what they're able to get. Because last time I wanted black crocodile backing on something and he just leveled with me. He was like, I can't get it. He's like, I just can't get it right now. And he's being honest with me. And I was like, yeah, I appreciate that. We go with regular backing. I don't care that much. But I appreciated that he was just like, man, I wish I could get that backing, but I can't right now. He was just honest about it. He was like, I just can't get it. He's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's in Pakistan. He's going to be subject to what he can get there.
And that goes a long way. Little things like that. Yeah. Instead of coming and you're shipping and whatnot. Hey, I thought I said this. Well, yeah, I couldn't get it. How come you ain't telling me this before?
Yeah, it should be kind of on the front end or like, you know,
exactly.
Like at first, one time I think I asked for something and he was like, I'm gonna see if I can get it. He goes, I'm gonna try. He goes, I may not be able to. He was honest. He was like, I may not be able to. He goes, what?
Yeah.
Basically, he's let me know, like, have a backup plan of what you want. Like, are you good with this instead of that?
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, being honest up front, that goes a long way because if they start like being deceptive about little things,
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you what really gained my trust.
It's a red flag.
Let me tell you what really gained my trust, Jagu. When I got my very first belt from him, before I received the belt, I already wanted to place an order for another one. He told me, he said, no, wait till you get to my belt. Wait till you get the belt, and he said, if you like it, then place an order for another. How many belt makers would do that?
Exactly. That's exactly.
He said, wait till you get the belt, see if you like my work, and then if you like my work, place an order for another. That's his exact words to me.
Yeah. That's awesome because you make it like, are you ready to buy? Okay. Send it over. Send it over. We'll go ahead and
get that money.
Send me that money. You got money, I'll take it. But that's stand up right there. That's some stand up stuff right there.
And when he did that, I'm saying, oh, I trust him.
Yeah.
Yep. Down. I don't have no more discrepancies with him. No, nothing.
Exactly.
Not the only thing I will say, I will be honest about something. The only thing I do for him a lot of the time is when most of the time now, if you order a belt through him and you're paying PayPal and you want to pay PayPal specifically, the money ends up coming to me and then I just send it to him. But because understand, like I want to tell people, like Pakistan doesn't allow PayPal. They don't. So you got to have either an American or a European or somebody that can do that. I got the Western Union app, and I think he just asked me to do it because when I started doing the raffles, I got a PayPal debit card, and I was like, well, this is how I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to collect the money on PayPal and then just debit it to you through Western Union because that's how they pretty much have to pick it up. And like I've learned a lot that there's a lot of restrictions over there and stuff like
okay.
For a minute there, he was like, you could send it to my bank account. And then he was like, no, we got to do pickup again. And he was like, no, they're kind of weird about that now, about sending the money. It gets locked up for a long time and stuff. And then he can't even afford to pay for the supplies to start the belt because the money's tied up for weeks or whatever. I'm like, no, that's no good either.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and he doesn't pay me anything to do. I don't ask for money for that kind of stuff. Sometimes he's got to wait like a couple days. It's like he he hit me up last weekend, and I feel bad because I think I waited 3 or 4 days to send him the money, and he was like, he was nice about it too. He just sent me like a smiley face in the morning. He was like,
"Hi, I'm still here."
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I do have like a bunch of money sitting in my PayPal that belongs to you.
Yeah, I kind of got your money here.
It's like,
Yeah,
I could really use that money, man. Like, I could really. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah.
My bad, man. My bad, dog.
Yeah. So that's another part of like trust with these guys. Like, that's why I'm like, I don't have a reason to buy from anybody else now, because like for him to trust me at that level, and we're talking sometimes it's been like a couple $1,000s sitting in my PayPal that's his money and stuff like that. He's trusted me enough to make sure that got to the appropriate place that he wanted it and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, man, like I guess I have no reason not to trust him if he trusts me like like at that level too. Because I mean, the first time I ever ordered from him, I sent him $700, and I was like, I immediately had like buyer's remorse, and I was like, did I just really send this man $700?
Okay, so
that was me. That was me.
I've had that too.
That was me. I wasn't 700. It was like I don't know how much.
It was like $250.
Yeah.
Ooh, like I just said $250 to some person I never met in my life, and I get a belt.
Yep.
What the hell did I just do? Like
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did that too. I was like, I was hesitant to press that okay button. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll show you why.
Like I said, you gotta throw your trust out there. It's kind of like when you get in a relationship with someone, you put your trust out there and just hope that you don't get done wrong. That's the only thing you can do.
Exactly.
I'm trying to put it in a way that people will understand, because when it comes to this belt buying thing, people don't understand that that's what it is. Unless you going straight to a store itself, you have no choice but to put your trust out there.
This was the reason it cost so much money. This was one of the belts, was my IWGP version 4. It's ridiculously expensive belt.
Damn.
Yeah, like this thing.
That's nice.
Yeah, this one. So like this, and I noticed this thing is a blessing and a curse, because I've noticed these belts, this particular design of belt has been the subject of so much criticism and hate on belt groups.
The plating is off. The plating is off. It doesn't have the grommets on the side. It doesn't have.
This is not.
It's not the right dimensions. It doesn't have the. It doesn't have the lion at the top. It doesn't. It's not stacked. It's not.
This belt was red hot a couple of years, 2-3 years ago, where everybody was trying to get one. It seemed like, and you know something. This one is far from TV accurate. 100% sure of that. And you know what I said to him? You know why I bought it? Because I saw it on, there you go. See what I'm saying? And so I saw it on the group, and I just liked the one he made. Like that's why I bought it from him and not from somebody else, just because I liked the one he made. And that was good enough for me,
I got this for $300 from a collector who's selling it.
That's good. That's good.
I'm not a huge Japanese guy, but hey, it's a stacked, multi-layer stacked belt. It's heavy as hell. It looks halfway decent.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near TV accurate.
Yeah.
The plating is with that. Some of the plate, some of the names are spelled wrong.
Don't really care. Nobody would even know.
I don't care. Huh?
Nobody would even know either, because half of them you don't even know how they're supposed to be spelled anyway, because they're Japanese.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing I thought with it. Like mine doesn't have that, but like, here's the thing about these belts. The official replica of the IWGP belt is a $2,000 belt. So if you're getting it for less than that, they got to cut corners somewhere. Now it's either going to be not exactly the right size, made of something different, something done different, some way along the way, they're going to have to cut corners to get it down to a price you want to pay for it.
And I'm going to piggyback on that. going back to TV accurate and everything else, WWE shop on average $450 for one of their belts. On average.
Mm-hmm.
If you are getting the belt from a maker less than that for a replica, one is not TV accurate. Two, you are getting less than what they sell their replicas for online at WWE shop. You have no grounds for anything in regards to TV accuracy, or anything along those lines, because you are getting it for a fraction of the cost of what they sell their replicas on their website.
Yep,
that's my whole thing. That's my bit. Can I get a less for what WWE is selling for on their website? Cool, great, because all their stuff mass produced.
Yep. And then depending on what year you got it, they make them different. Like they go with a different
exactly. The belts, the big golds that were made back in the early 2000s is different than the ones that are made now.
Did you ever own any of those
back in the
Figures
80s?
Inc? Did you own any of the Figures Inc belts, the original ones, the first line?
I did. I actually owned the original WCW Cruiserweight title.
Yeah. So when those came out, I was working in indie wrestling back then, like
and indie promotions will rig them up.
Yeah.
And pass it off. Trust me, because I've done it.
I know. First time I ever saw it was in NWA Wildside, if you know what that was.
In Georgia.
Yep. I worked when I was working over there. The first time I ever saw it, they had the Wildside tag team titles were 2 WCW TV titles with stickers over the World Television and the WCW part, and NWA Wildside on stickers on top of the plates, and those were the Wildside tag team titles were 2 WCW. Those, and I went to like independent promotions where they had their tag team titles were 2 big gold belts. Like it was those, because back then there weren't no foreign makers making these for a couple $100.
Exactly.
So they put the plainest look, the more plain, like the TV titles and the big golds, because they were so plain looking compared to like, the ECW belts. Figs Inc. made a bunch of those. Those were harder to change. But even then, I saw, I was working for a company that took the Taz version of the ECW world title and painted all over it and made it into a cruiserweight belt. They had all kind of like model paint.
Oh my God!
All over this thing and changed the colors and stuff. And I was like, "What is this?"
I've seen when the NWA tag belts came out. Those replicas came out. I've seen folks use silver paint to give that dual plated effect to it. I've seen it all.
Yeah,
I've seen it all.
It was crazy.
And that's what I'm talking about when I took this belt here to Monday Night Raw. I took this belt to Monday Night Raw. Tell me where you see any kind of TV accuracy in this belt.
Nope. Nothing. I've never seen that belt.
Wait a minute. Did it? Nah, nobody used that. Nobody.
But
I tried because I know I've seen that belt somewhere before. I know I have.
I know.
But
it was
when I went to Raw,
down with Tyler Breeze had it in the background on his bookcase.
I saw it on one of them YouTube shows. It was on one of them YouTube shows.
I went to Monday Night Raw with it, and you know how many people wanted this belt?
Yeah.
Because it's something different. It's something that they like. So it's like, who cares about TV accuracy? Go get whatever it is that you want.
About at least like a third of this stupid belt collecting community seems to care about it.
Hey, case in point, I'm gonna prove that point real quick. got this off of a maker. Okay.
Gotcha.
Tell me what's not accurate.
I mean, it looks good to me so far.
Yeah, I don't see too much of anything, really.
Look real close.
Oh, look like the R. Look like the R.
I wasn't going for that, but if you look real close at the top,
Oh, the little circles around the WWF.
where do you really don't see this much with the with the black logo, the black around it?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
see, I would have
Okay.
never known. I was like,
Yeah. I didn't even figure that out.
I thought, but I didn't care
yeah,
because to me this is the belts that the Hart Foundation had after they beat the Bulldogs, because the Bulldogs of course had the Bulldogs tag. When I don't know the exact time frame as to when this. It was even right after the Hearts won the tag titles. They went to this version of this one, but this is all I see right here.
I would never
This
know
is
there
all,
was anything inaccurate about it just because I don't sit there and nitpick. To me, I'm like, it's a good looking WWF tag. Like I'm
exactly. I actually bought two. I actually bought two of them off the because he had a complete set. Like, okay, I'll take one of them off of it. But I gave the other one to my brother. It is what it is.
yeah,
But it's like
But you like it. That's what matters, right?
exactly.
yeah. There. So I'll tell you something. Where was it? Back after the Road Dogg got released for WWE. He's still carried around the WWF tag. If you remember the Attitude Era tag belt that had the red backing on it,
Yeah.
he still carried, he was working at TNA at the time. I remember because this was about 04, I want to say. He worked for us in Mississippi for a few shows, and I'd been hanging out with him for an hour before the show, and then they had a merchandise table set up. And out of his bag, he just pulls that belt out, just out of nowhere. And I'm just like, the hell did you get that? And he's like, I stole it. He's like, hell yeah.
Wow.
And that's when I learned about I really learned. He goes, oh, dude, they do it all the time up there. He goes, they'll get a new set of belts, and then it's like they don't even care where the last ones went. And then sure enough, Stone Cold talked about on those podcasts, he's got the Intercontinental belt that he supposedly threw off in the water. He's got the NWA TV belt that he won from Bobby Eaton. He's still got that belt. And I'm like, you need to bust that bad boy out, because that thing nobody's seen in 30 years, since they came out with the WCW TV belt. Whatever happened to that? He's got it sitting in his house somewhere and is hoarding that thing away. It's like, people would probably pay a fortune for that damn thing.
Shoot, yeah. Let Dan Lambert or freaking what's the name, Conrad Thompson find out.
Yeah, boy.
That's gonna be a bidding war.
Yeah.
I even say for that silver smoking skull he got, it's gonna be great. Gonna be a good one, because he used the gold one on TV. So for the silver one, really nobody else never seen it except for pictures.
Yeah.
It wasn't really used on TV. So that one there is gonna be a high price item too. So Steve knows what he's doing with these belts. He knows what he's doing.
Get your ring accurate smoking skull belt.
Yeah.
Somebody screwing up that Brahma Bull belt that was on.
I was just gonna say that.
That is not the real Brahma Bull.
That was never shown on TV. So how do you know?
I don't know for sure, but it's ring accurate.
Yeah, they never showed the Brahma Bull on TV.
No, they haven't.
The closest you've seen it on TV is when John Cena and The Rock had that feud, and The Rock was doing a promo where he was rapping, and The Rock had it way in the background on his shelf with a lot of his other belts, but you couldn't really get a good look at it. So,
but it's TV, but it's TV accurate. Oh gosh!
You got to make that make sense to me. I don't get it.
Hey! Shoot, hey! I'm doing the best I can try to make this make sense, man. Just the math ain't mathing.
Oh, I got one more to show you that's not nowhere near TV record. Well, I got more than one, but I'm sure it's not TV accurate.
Exactly.
Here is my version of the United States Championship.
Oh no, I saw that on TV too.
Oh, damn, my bad. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying though. I don't give a damn. I got something, and the only reason why I keep getting the WWE logo is because I can take this to a WWE event with no problems. Because they're not gonna allow a New Japan belt or AEW belt. You see what I'm saying?
Do
That's
they
why I
really
keep
stop people from coming in with those?
Well, you can't. They're not gonna stop you. You just can't have it up where the camera can see it. So
See
you
it.
gotta like put it down. You know, like put it down like this here. You know what I mean?
But back in
Yeah.
the 90s, people were on there with NWO shirts on and stuff, and they just still showed them all on TV.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. That's the only reason why.
20 years later, because if you wearing a certain company's T-shirt, they kindly ask you to remove that T-shirt.
Yep. Yep.
If you're in camera view.
Yep.
good Lord Almighty, and you bought a ticket. Like, I'd be mad as hell.
Yeah.
They'd be like,
And that's why I try to, a lot in my videos, I try to explain that to people. Because if it does not have the WWE, if you can buy any belt you got. Like I said, I took that one and I was on TV with that belt. But because it has the WWE logo, nothing was said or done. You know, so that's why I keep getting these hip belts. It has to have the WWE logo.
So, yeah, I used to take belts to shows. My arms get tired after 2 or 3 hours. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
My arms get I get a little tired.
Yeah.
I had my belt on my shoulder most of the time.
I can see,
It was fun though, man. It was fun, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I say, who cares about TV advocacy? I took that belt and I like I said, I at least gave Jago 100 new customers.
And how many pictures do you took with people?
Oh, I ain't take no pictures with nobody.
Oh, well, we did. Okay.
But everybody was asking me, man, where you get that belt from? I've never seen that before. I said, oh, I had it custom made. Where you get it from? And I said, hey, here go the information right here. Here you go.
I could see taking the belt to a show, like if you were going to meet somebody that held it too, and you want to like take a picture with them or get it autographed or whatever. Because I saw a lot of people. I remember when I don't know if it was, I don't think it was the G1 Supercard, but it was a show in the States, and a lot of people were bringing IWGP belts to get a picture with Kazuchika Okada, because how often does he even come to America in the first place? And then you want
exactly.
But like, it's not like Okada looked at your belt and said, "Get this shit out of here!" Like, like get this trash out of here. This doesn't look like the real belt. No, he would give them the real belt, and he'd hold their belt and take a picture with it and stuff. Like, it was a lot of cool pictures with that. Like,
exactly.
Like it's like, and he realizes, and that's what you need in wrestling too, is somebody like that, because it's not about, like, he understands that you paid some money and you came a ways to see him. So he and he came a long way, you know, from Japan to come do a match out here.
Give this person the best 15 seconds of their life.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had people in cosplay in Okada. Like, that's become a big thing too. Like, cause he was in one of the Tekken games. They had was it Tiger with the mask on, and it was did you ever see that? That it was basically a whole Rainmaker Okada outfit. And he had a mask on though, and I think it was Tiger from Tekken, but it was based off of Okada, and he had a belt on too that resembled the IWGP belt and all this stuff. And that got red hot after a while, and people were coming like, speaking of that, I'm really shocked New Japan hasn't realized that, like, Okada was more over in the United States than Kenny Omega was when he was in New Japan. Like, that's another argument for another discussion, because of this whole conversation dialogue I saw with Kenny Omega and Disco Inferno. And I was like, I wanted to look Kenny Omega dead in his eye and be like, you're not a bigger star in professional wrestling than Disco Inferno. I want you to know that. Like, and I will say that to that man's face, because that's another conversation. I shouldn't have said that, but
you got to bring me back on that. Bring me back on that one.
Well, I'm gonna leave it like this: when the business was 5 to 10 times the size in viewers and everything at one time.
I understand. Okay, during the heat of the Monday Night Wars, I get you.
somebody, so I'm gonna say this. Somebody asked me a little while ago, should they get the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and to think outside of my opinion on AEW and its wrestlers. And I said, how do you want me to do that? I can't advise you based on, like, if you want my opinion on whether an AEW pay-per-view is worth the money or not, then I have to look at the wrestlers that are on it, because that's part of it. I'm like, I can't make an objective decision like that and go like, no, I don't think Hangman Page is over or drawing money, but I still think you should buy a pay-per-view where he's in the main event. You know, like, and I'm not pointing him out particularly, but the same thing with WWE. Right. It's like, I don't like Roman Reigns, but I do think you should buy his T-shirt. Like, I can't do that.
I get what you're saying. But in my answer to this is, as a wrestling fan, support who you going to support.
Yeah.
Because there's too much wrestling out there for anybody to be hung up on. I'm going to support this. I'm going to support this. I'm going to support that. Support who you want. A lot of folks moan and groan because AEW is all the stuff is on paper. We paying $40 for their pay-per-views, or those who are WWE fans, you pay $9.99 a month. So it's like you support what you want to support, you know.
But at the same time, if you think $40 is too much for a pay-per-view, don't buy it. You know?
Exactly.
And then you'll send a message to them when they can't sell their pay-per-views that you ain't paying $40 for no pay-per-view.
And I had this exact conversation with my brother when we'll say, oh, I'm so tired of WWE. They're doing 50-50 booking. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're like, WWE had a revenue last year of $1 billion. The way you heard WWE is not watching their product, not going to their shows, not subscribing to Peacock, not purchasing their brand. It took folks on a grand scale does that. WWE is going to continue to WWE, and every April, every company in the world will gravitate to wherever they're having WrestleMania and capitalize off of their name.
Name one other professional wrestling company besides WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling that turned a profit last year. I'll wait.
You can't. That kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, Joe, is that when people were talking about AEW finna take over the WWE, I was like, what?
How?
They haven't made one red penny.
How?
This man spent $44 million on Ring of Honor. WCW went for a fraction of that. Let that sink in.
He paid $44 million for a tape library, belts, branding, because he ain't got none of the talent.
Yep. The first thing he did was let the Briscoes go. How can you have Ring of Honor without the Briscoes, who were there for the entirety of 20 years? They are the face. They are literally the most recognizable names. They're arguably the most recognizable names out of Ring of Honor history is the Briscoes.
So I'm curious to see I'm curious to see what he does with it. I'm sure this is not right now that they're having the title being defended on their one of their four shows right now.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what he does with it. I think the Briscoe had some issue with Time Warner or something like that. Jay Briscoe made some comments or something like that. That's why they did not.
But they also have other talent that did the same thing. Sammy Guevara made the same kind of comments on there, and they sent him to sensitivity training and then brought him back to TV. Yeah, they got.
Yeah.
I could dig up stuff that Matt Hardy said 15 years ago that should not, you know what I mean? They just picking on the Briscoes. The Briscoes specifically, and I guess because they did wrestle in Confederate flag singlets at one time, but they're not doing it now. They haven't done that in like 15 years. You know,
Okay. Aaron just posted a question and said, what are your guys' thoughts on Velcro over the snaps?
I have never. I've heard of. I've heard of it. One belt I'm getting made right now. I'm going to try Velcro for the very first time, and I'm gonna see how it goes.
Yeah.
I like the belt feel. I like the belt aesthetic with snaps on the back,
Yeah.
whatnot. When you put the belt on, it look like you have it's snapping in. If there's Velcro on the other side, I guess it is what it is. But you know that's just me. I don't have it. You know, I don't have like a belt on the shelf that has Velcro yet.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. Yeah, they still do have the female snap box on the WWE belts that have Velcro. So
Okay.
so like you said, the aesthetic of when it's on the wrestler, you can still see the female snap box and it looks
Yeah.
like it's snapped. But we
Yeah.
all know they're using Velcro. But I will say this: if I was getting a belt made and I was going to have that belt for the next 20 years, I would never get Velcro. Especially if I was going to wear it or take it places and stuff like that, because Velcro is going to wear out long before probably the snaps do. But WWE,
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody knows this, but WWE replaces all of their championship belts annually. Like that the belts they use on the live events are the belts from the previous year, and then they have all new belts that appear right out, usually around WrestleMania, maybe on WrestleMania. And
Wait a minute. You mean WWE have more than one belt? Oh,
yeah.
oh, I
And
that is throwing off my TV accurate meter. Oh my gosh.
Look at Hulk Hogan's first title reign. He had like 12 different daggum WWF title belts during his
I
first
heard
run.
because he kept sweating through them.
okay, now I'm gonna say this here. I just replied to Aaron. I prefer the snaps because that's what I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah, I've seen the Velcro on TV, and I've seen other people, in this belt how to get Velcro because that's TV accuracy.
Yeah.
But I don't wear my belts, so either the clothes I have is over my shoulder, but around my waist I don't wear it.
First thing I do when I get a belt, I put it on. I'm sorry, I do.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
To
that.
each his own, right?
Yeah, to each his own. That's what you want
To
to
each
do.
his own. Everybody have different ways of how they want to enjoy their belts.
Yeah.
I put mine on. He put his on the shoulder. Apparently, Sammy Guevara sleeps with his, have sex with it on his. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. What is it? One month they had the last TNT title, then they got one with daggum diamonds in it on the main plate. And people, the first thing people did was just come to these makers like, can I get the TNT title with all the diamonds? And it's like, fool, do you know how much that's going to cost? Now, I don't know what kind of jewels they are, but.
Yeah. And
Yeah, sure. $300.
Yeah, to me, I think the best way to. Okay, let me ask you guys this, and anybody that's watching, what's the best way you like to display your belts?
I got a 16 shelf thing, 16 shelf thing from IKEA. I got two of them bad boys. Give me a sec. All right, so
that's what I need to get right there. God, can you sometimes send me a link to what to that?
Yeah.
I need to get me something just like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I got two of them bad boys. Then I'm using I got two bookshelves from Target.
Or I might have to just get me something like that too. Like
Speaking
even
of
just
Target,
regular bookshelf looks nice. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Speaking
Exactly.
So my daughter to Target real quick. Golly, you just reminded me.
Yeah.
As y'all can see, this is how I display mine. As y'all can see.
Yeah.
As y'all, I'm trying to fold it down. Y'all see some more belts right there. Y'all see some more on the side over there. I even I even have my favorites. Another belt that Jagu made for me that's not TV accurate. See it right there. My
Okay.
favorite sports teams.
You
Houston
can't
Rockets.
see it. Got
Houston
to
Texans.
scroll over a little more. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to show that one off. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I know the light
2027.
about to hit the hold on.
That was one of the coolest custom belts I've seen.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know. And then I got some. I got some all over my man cave. So.
Yeah.
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 Man,
I want to put some on my walls. So as I get more, I'm gonna look at get some put on the walls as well. So
yeah, I'm not done setting up my man cave. I'm taking my sweet ass time doing it. And I know I said I was gonna been do it, but I'm not finished setting everything up. So when I'm done, I'm gonna show you everybody. I got belts all over. I got all kind of stuff. So that's how I like it. Aaron says mine are lined up on the back of my couch.
Yeah.
Hey,
I've been there too.
I seen people do that. You know, just sitting back here while you sit down, they just sitting right here. Yeah. You know,
Exactly.
You know, so
You know
I got. Oh, go ahead.
You said your wife retired from the Air Force. Does she still keep all them uniforms?
Yeah, she has a bunch of her uniforms.
The most obscene thing about being in the military is how many uniforms I have. Like, it is the most obscene thing. Like, I've been in 10 years and I have so many like bags of uniforms, and the Navy is bad about that. Like, we have 2 different dress uniforms as it is.
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, freaking Navy. You're like you have the blues, then you have the tans, then you have the whites.
I'm not kidding. Like, I've got deployment uniforms on my floor. I got like another bag full of just deployment uniforms. I've got like 8 different coveralls from time on the ships and stuff. And I'm like, what in the world am I gonna do with all this stuff?
I think the Navy still has like the highest clothing allowance out of all the branches, if I'm not mistaken.
It's the only good thing about I was active originally and then went to the reserves, and now I get them for free. But it's ridiculous. Like the amount of uniforms. Like I was explaining that because I went. My last deployment was to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and I got a E3 that's headed there, and she's like, well, she goes, how's this going to go? Like I she's brand new to the Navy, and I'm like, well, let me tell you the first thing they're going to do. They're going to give you a ton of more uniforms. And you're going to leave all the uniforms that you normally wear at home, and they're going to look just like the uniforms you wear, but but they're going to be different.
Oh man!
Like, why do I don't want to collect uniforms, but now I got so many. Like, I'm like, what do I do with them all? We used to have the blue camouflage, and I gave those to the sim lab, the medical sim lab at the hospital, because they were going to dress the dummies on there for TCCC and stuff. So, but so we could actually, because I'm going to tell you the truth, putting a tourniquet on a naked dummy is not how things are really is in the field, like they're going to have a uniform on. People are usually dressed. So like I never understood that before when we were doing like training in the field. It's like we got these naked dummies out here and this is what we're simulating on. And I'm like, real people have clothes on.
Oh man. Oh man, that was a good one. I got a question for y'all too.
Yeah.
What is something that y'all have that's not a belt that you think that is the best thing that you have that represents wrestling? That's not a belt.
No.
1 minute. See if I can find it real quick.
Okay.
So I was glad I was able to locate this. The first edition of Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
What?
The original.
Look at Dusty and this Mil Mascaris.
Yeah, from September 1979.
Wow.
The very first one.
That blew me out.
I don't have anything like that.
Me neither. I think I just asked the wrong question.
Yeah, I was so geeked. It, of course, has some wear and tear on it because, of course, this thing is old. This thing is as old as I am, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, but to actually have this is like awesome.
Cody Rhodes might come take that from you.
Because it's got Dusty. That was Dusty Winnie. No. Now,
To me, the best thing that I have that's not a belt that's wrestling related is my Ultimate Warrior statue.
Oh,
Okay.
You know, this of course came from the WWE shop, but this guy here is who really got me into wrestling. I don't know what it is about his character. It's just something about all the energy, him running to the ring, all that. You know, I don't know what it was that just caught my attention back in the 80s, and that's what got me going. And then ever since then, I've been wrestling.
My brother was a huge Ultimate Warrior mark. Huge.
Okay.
Yeah. It literally crushed him after he went to the Hall of Fame. He went on Raw the next night, and the next day he was gone.
Yeah.
That was like, wow.
Well, it was everything that made him famous that cooked him from the inside on them daggum steroids.
I know, right?
God,
crazy,
man, that man, and the cocaine.
And on top of this is a picture of me and my wife at the game where I got this jersey signed.
Oh, that's cool.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's me.
Very nice.
You know what's funny?
Very nice.
I spent
Of course.
10 years of my life working in professional wrestling, into business. And do you know what the weirdest thing, like the strangest thing is? I didn't keep like pictures. I never really took pictures or anything like that. It was weird. The one thing I have, and I don't have it with me, it's in my attic, is a shoebox full of plastic hotel keys. It's like that is the weirdest thing, but it's like the thing that meant the most to me in the wrestling business is literally living in hotels. And at first, it's a true story. Like I still came in when, if you were breaking in the wrestling business, you had to pay dues. So I slept on the floor of hotels, and believe me, I kept some of those keys because it meant something to me. I was like, you know, so a lot has changed because I was telling somebody, and a lot of people don't get this, but you know, a lot of people, like we were talking about Keith Lee, and I said, you know what drives me crazy about Keith Lee? His facials. And they were like, what do you mean? Because you don't talk about that unless you like see wrestling training in school and stuff like that. But he smiles and does things at the most, like the worst times. Like Keith Lee could, if he was in control of his facials, could look like a killer. Like he's a good looking, like he's got a look, and he's got, you know, he's got a certain thing. But his biggest problem, like the one thing that drives me insane, having like just seen so many hours and hours of wrestling classes, is how like he'll be in the middle of doing something and just put this big old smile on for some reason, and it looks it's the strangest thing. And it's like, did you not go to like an actual wrestling school? Like it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. And people, you know, I feel like, I know we've got off on some other topics here, but it's the most amazing thing. Like,
we're gonna have to do this again, definitely, because
like, it's the most incredible thing that people just have an image of like what they want in wrestling now, and I'm like, keep, you know, I think me and Madam were talking about this, like, look, it's obvious. WWE is very obvious on what they want in their people. And you look at how long Walter Gunther, whatever his name is, how long he's been there at NXT, but the dude got in shape. Keith Lee never did that. He never lost a single pound. And it's like, and I hate to say it, but it's a cosmetic business. And if you want to make it there, like if you want to make it on the main roster, eventually you got to conform to what they want you to do and stuff like that. And they're like, they are so wrong for releasing him and stuff like that. I was like, I kind of saw it coming, and I don't even watch it. Like just because I've literally 20 years ago have seen their tryouts and what they want and stuff, like, and some parts of it have never changed. Adam Cole's the same way. Dude has never seen the inside of a weight room. I'm sorry, he hasn't. Like, he's talented. I'm not going to say he's not.
Yeah.
But how you ever, and he's offended or whatever that they wanted him to be a manager. Look in the mirror, dude. You look like an 8th grader with a goatee. I mean,
Oh gosh.
I mean, like, and I hate to be like Jim Cornette, but that's how I feel sometimes. It's like what he's saying sometimes makes a lot of sense, and you can say it's outdated and old.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes he takes it a little too far, but it's like sometimes, but a lot of that stuff he's right about. It's like, come on, man. Like, all you had to do was like you were in NXT for like 3 years and you never decided like, hey, I'm gonna put on some muscle a little bit. I'm gonna get in here and do some bicep curls or something, like, and look like a wrestler.
He's getting the gym. He's killing the business.
Yeah. Nah, I'm not gonna go that far, but
Oh
God,
man.
no. You don't have to look like Brian Cage or something, but Jesus, like, get in the weight room a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Just get in there a little bit, do a little something, do a couple bench presses or something like that, you know, and then maybe go outside in the sunlight once in a while.
Let me
To the sunlight.
Out there looking like a daggum ghost.
Let me ask y'all a question.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound weird, but who do y'all think is the skinniest but strongest person right now wrestling?
The skinniest but strongest.
I know I can't put it no other way. Cause I watch him wrestling and I was like, I told my wife, I said that guy is the most skinniest but most muscle bound person I've ever seen. I'm talking about Finn Balor.
Oh, I wouldn't even say him. I would say Elias or Ezekiel, whatever his name is, Ezekiel now.
Cesaro.
Okay.
I thought we were just talking about who's the skinniest wrestler, and then you already know what I'm probably going to say, and that's CM Punk.
Oh God, that guy.
Oh my goodness. I know that was weird for me to put it like that, but
I'm kind of. I think I got. Yeah.
But
Ezekiel.
Aaron says Griddle.
But he's not that big.
Griddle is the skinniest but strongest.
You know, I took a look at. Okay, so there's certain guys, Brian Cage, who are obviously using anabolics. I'm sorry, like when you see those three-dimensional deltoids.
No way, sir. I disagree with that, sir.
Did you see him when he was in?
How dare you, sir?
Did you see him when he was in NXT? And he was about 50 pounds smaller. Yeah.
No way, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He's in the gym every day.
And it's the same people that don't think The Rock is on steroids. He's a 50-year-old man. Look at that. Okay.
Sir. Sir.
Oh
Sir. Sir. If I could X you right now, I would. I swear.
It's like, no, it's like, who was it? Was it Billy Graham that's like, Kofi Kingston, please use steroids?
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, he came out like on the Hannibal TV or something like that. It was like, look, man, like in your case, you probably need to do them.
Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham. That's the last dude that need to be talking about anybody, man. I'm sorry.
I know. I laughed at it. I was like,
I know, like dude, like
that's what I'm thinking.
Like, dude, like you the one who need to have a couple sit the hell down and shut up. Oh my gosh!
But I'm just saying, you don't have. I mean,
I hear you.
Look, take like Arn Anderson for instance. You don't have to be a muscle guy, but at least look like you could whoop somebody. I mean, like you know, at least he had, you know. He wasn't in there eating just chicken breast and broccoli for every meal. He was eating good, but he was in the weight room and he looked like he could have, he was 200 some odd pounds and looked like he could win a fight. Like
exactly.
Like I'm still to this day. I watched who was it? Paul London and Rene Dupree were talking about when CM Punk debuted on the WWECW. And they were putting plants in the crowd to chant CM Punk and stuff like that. And they were like, how that guy came in there from developmental, from OVW, and looked athletic. Like, he looked like he was actually working out and lifting weights and stuff like that, and then just let himself completely just go. And just get more tattoos to cover up the fact that he wasn't working out. And then you go into the UFC and get exposed.
Yeah, he sure
Like,
did.
That's the worst thing he ever did. And that's why, like, Jesus Christ, man. He took, and I understand why he did it, because he got paid a lot of money going there and get his butt whooped on UFC, but you can't act like that did not hurt his credibility in wrestling to a degree.
It did.
You got beat by guys that were amateurs, like in their first pro fight. What's that guy, Mickey, whatever, that had been doing martial arts. Like, he had been attending martial arts classes his whole life, but he was no, this was his UFC debut too. And I think he had like one professional fight before that on some Bush League MMA, group. And then he came in there and beat the dog mess out of Sam. like, you just decide to start going to Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes yesterday. And then I
think I could do this.
He's a guy that I understand why people like him, and I understand where his stardom came from, but as a human being, he's a complete dick. And he is. He is the most disingenuous, like, insincere person, and everyone knows that he had a bad reputation on the indies, and he had a bad reputation in WWE. And, and this guy, and I'm gonna tell you, you were saying people liked the pipe bomb because it was true. No, he had full conviction in it. He believed everything he was saying. Now, was it true? I don't know. Probably not, because it's the same thing, he thought, getting on a microphone and saying you're the best professional wrestler in the world doesn't make you it doesn't make you mean that you're drawing more money than John Cena. And that's what it comes down to, and you're not. So.
And that's what I did say. He is living in his own hype. He is in his own head. But I do like his talent, though. That's
he
what
didn't want to. He didn't want to. He did not want to lose to The Rock.
Joy. You. We could say this all day long, but all it comes down to is can he put an ass in every 18 inches?
Nope, he can't. Not
in
now.
AEW he can. AEW he can. In AEW he can.
They were drawing those crowds without him.
In AEW, when he opens the freaking show, that freaking pop, that freaking CM Punk pop.
Sure.
Hey, that's all AEW cares about.
Yep, but he hasn't made a
and merchandising, because I'm seeing hundreds of thousands of CM Punk shirts in the crowds when I turn on AEW.
It may be true, but he hadn't drawn a dime for him, though. That's the unfortunate thing. Like, their TV ratings have not budged, and their audience has not grown.
It's not, and I've heard this as well. Because I listened to Busted Open, and they bring a point, like they bring all these folks in for the wow factor, whatnot. You'll get that initial pop. Yeah.
But besides the initial pop, you got to make money.
Exactly.
And it's got to go somewhere.
AEW is not really making money.
I will say it's not all his fault either. It's the fact that Tony Khan is a money mark running a multi-million-dollar wrestling company. He doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm sorry. Here's my thing. If I was, and I don't have millions and millions of dollars to run a wrestling company, so I'm not trying to say I would or would not. But here's my logic. If I was going to start a wrestling company and I had that kind of money to do it, I sure as hell wouldn't think that I'm going to book the whole thing by myself. And then if I was going to let people in my creative circle, it would not be the Young Bucks, because those guys, with all due respect, and I do respect what they accomplished outside, building their own merch and everything up on their own, and being a big part of what made Bullet Club successful. They came into that, and then as evident by the characters they're portraying on TV and the fact that they have hired a bunch of their friends that are talentless, Brandon Cutler, sorry, and that guy has zero business being on your TV screen.
Let me put it like this. To all those AEW fans on YouTube, or just wrestling fans, period, I put it like that. on YouTube that talk so much crap about AEW is going to take over WWE. While y'all was talking, I just Googled AEW profit. This is what came up. It said, we estimate all Elite Wrestling made about $84 million in revenue in 2021. Brandon Sturston, if I said that right, breaks down AEW's revenue sources and how much he believes the company made in 2021 and 2020. So in 2021, according to this, they made $84 million. Now you want to put that up against $1 billion?
They didn't profit. They did not profit $84 million.
Oh,
They
I know.
generated $84 million in revenue and lost probably about $250 million.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said made. That's why I
Profit
said
and
made.
generated revenue.
Those are two different things, though.
Yeah.
Because you can make a lot of money, but who do you owe to now how much money are you taking home after you pay your bills? I'll put it like that. Kind of like when you go to work, you make your paycheck. Now you got to pay your mortgage, your car note, your insurance. You got to buy food, all that stuff. After you pay for all that, now how much money you got left?
Well, I know for a fact they didn't make any money because I know that it's a big tax write-off for the Khan family. That's a big part of what it is. But I will say this. Shoot, hang on, I lost it for a second there. Let's talk. Speaking of the AEW faithful audience, this is an audience that believes Jon Moxley left WWE because he was creatively unhappy and he's just wrestling, he's wrestling in AEW because it's fun. And it's like, no, he left because AEW is paying him more money than WWE paid him. And he's working less.
Less dates.
That's 100% of wrong.
Let's see. I come to work on Wednesdays and one weekend every 3 months.
Yeah.
The
truth is he got mad because they offered Seth Rollins another mill on top of what they offered him, and there's a reason for that. It's because Seth Rollins was a little bit higher up in the pecking order, than he was at that time, when they were doing this. And they offered him more money, and he got mad about it. And then he had those side conversations when AEW was being formulated, and I think they made some promises behind the scenes to him, and he took a walk. It's I talked to a couple people about that are in the group that talked to me offline that are like. Yeah. They're like, oh, so-and-so left because they were creatively unhappy. I was like, no, it's 100% always about money. Don't fool yourself.
They're listening to. They're listening to what.
I love how JR breaks it down: cash or creative.
Mostly the cash. That'll go a long way further. I'd be,
I'm just saying.
CM Punk ain't there for creative. I promise you that.
No, these people are listening to what. These people are listening to what other people are saying on YouTube and going by that. They do. These YouTube content creators do make clickbait videos.
Yeah.
They'll say certain things. They'll put certain thumbnails or name their video certain things just for you to click on it.
Yeah.
That's it. You got, for example, when Sasha Banks went out with an injury, I think she had sprained her neck or broken, whatever injury it was that she had. And somebody gonna make a video talking about the last sad days of Sasha Banks. Like, what? Making it sound like she's dead now. The last sad days of Sasha Banks. Making it sound like she's dead.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
I mean, she is fragile, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's all it is.
You ever seen somebody get injured?
Hold on. Y'all remember Karma when she was in the WWE? Y'all remember Karma?
Yeah. Yes. I've met her too.
Now, I bet you if you go on YouTube and you search wrestlers that passed away, you'll see Karma in one of those thumbnails. I was a victim. I paid attention to it and I clicked on it. Because I was like, where Karma passed? I didn't know that. No wonder I haven't seen her in a long time, blah, blah, blah. And come to find out she didn't.
No.
It just, my whole point of saying all this, people are just believing what they're seeing on YouTube and then going by that. instead of actually doing your own little research, using your brain and thinking. That's all that is.
What? Use my own brain? What?
I need to believe what they're telling me.
How dare you, sir?
I need them to come out a promo on the other channel and tell me what was wrong with the other company.
Yeah.
And then I believe whatever they say.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Hey, fellas, I hate to cut this short, but I promised my daughter I'm going to take her to Target, take her shopping.
Yeah.
Do that.
So I got
we have got to do this again.
Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to set up a date and a time.
Yeah, with all three of us, because this was a lot better with three people, because me and man,
Yes,
I'm tired of hearing each other. All right.
Oh yeah.
we need somebody else in this discussion. Yeah.
Yes.
I got you guys. I was
at least one more. At least one more person. At least.
All right.
Hey, I was gonna get with you guys once I had got off on Messenger though. But we'll definitely set that up, man. This was fun.
Yeah, we want, and we need your ideas on topics to talk about too, because me and Man Up sitting here trying to come up with more stuff to come up with, and we about ran out. So
yeah.
Hey, we'll have that we'll put together.
Yeah,
we'll brainstorm.
All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all, man. Y'all have a good
one. Y'all.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
All right, y'all. Sorry I had to end this, but y'all was in the man cave. Now I got to be rude and kick you out the man cave. Holla.